Chapter 49:11. After Zhou Jin took over the reins for a month, he felt that things were more or less settled. He knew that Yin Bingjun had not been paying attention to the court recently, and was instead dealing with his family's mess. He planned to take Tang Guo to Yin Bingjun's residence to see how he was recovering. In fact, he just wanted to create an illusion for Yin Bingjun to make him think that he was going to ask for help. In reality, most of the people in the court were his people. The others who could stay in the court were all behaving themselves with their tails between their legs. He gave each of these officials a box containing their misdeeds and told them to deal with it themselves. He didn't have a backup here. He really didn't keep a backup, but doing so really scared these old guys. It was all thanks to Tang Guo's help that he was able to collect so much evidence. When Tang Guo asked someone to deliver it to him that day, she said that it was a gift for him to take over the reins. It really made him feel wronged. These things couldn't be worn. Wouldn't he feel wronged to death? In the end, Tang Guo still left the palace and bought him a stick of candied haws. Only then was he appeased. If the officials who received a box of evidence found out about this, they would probably feel wronged to death. Yin Bingjun has been doing a lot of bad things recently. He's too confident. He didn't pay attention to the court for a month and only cared about women. He doesn't know that the sky has changed. Zhou Jin held Tang Guo's hand and sat in the carriage. He whispered in her ear. He should have received the message by now. He probably thinks that I want to ask for help. Jin, you've been very proud recently. Don't be too proud and capsize the boat in a ditch. If you get carried away and capsize the boat because of you, I won't help you. Don't worry. I'm just proud in front of you. I'm very vigilant in front of others. Tang Guo naturally knew. She was just warning him. Zhou Jin's identity meant that he couldn't relax outside. As long as he was in this position, he had to be vigilant at all times. He couldn't be careless at all. Regent, the Emperor and Empress are here. Hearing his subordinate's words, Yin Bingjun said, "Tell the Emperor something. I'm seriously injured and can't get out of bed. Invite them in." Since the little Emperor had come to beg him, Yin Bingjun naturally could not go and greet him. Only those who had suffered would know his importance. This time, he wanted to let the little Emperor understand. Zhou Jin didn't mind. He held Tang Guo's hand and walked in. To be able to anger Yin Bingjun, it didn't matter if he lost face or not. In any case, it wasn't like he would lose face. Right now, the one who had lost face was Yin Bingjun. Stealing his distant cousin's fiancée had become a hot topic in the capital. How is the regent's health? Zhou Jin came in and asked with concern. I've been busy with state affairs recently, so I couldn't come to visit you immediately. This subject is incompetent, unable to share Emperor's burdens. This subject's injuries will most likely take more than half a year to recover, Yin Bingjun said. Emperor, if there is anything you do not understand, you can ask the ministers of court. The little Emperor wanted him to come out of the mountain like this. Regent's meaning is that you are still unable to return to court? Zhou Jin asked, his heart becoming active. Yes, this subject heard that Emperor has already taken over the government. Speaking of this subject should take up the position of regent again. If this spreads out, it will probably cause discussion, saying that this subject is greedy for power. Zhou Jin thought, you treacherous subject, isn't that what you think? Pretending to resign from the position of regent, then how could he, who is destined to be a wise ruler, not do as the subject wished? Chapter 49:12. We are very grateful for the regent's sacrifice these years. You are right. Since we are personally governing, we should not have the position of regent. It is not good for your reputation, and it is also not good for our reputation. Zhou Jin thought for a while, then said, but you have made great contributions these years. Without the position of regent, we should reward you with something else. Your position will not change. You are first rank, so how about we give you the title of Duke? From now on, you'll be Duke Binghua. From now on, you'll be Duke Binghua. Yin Bingjun did not hear the answer he wanted, and the little Emperor took the opportunity to remove him from the position of regent. He did not react in time. Qi Qing, bring me a brush and ink. Zhou Jin raised his hand. Just write the imperial edict here. It is just that we have made too many officials recently. The imperial jade seal is always with us in case of emergency. System, you really want to laugh the system to death. What emergency? Wasn't it just because you predicted Yun Bingjuan's reaction that you specially brought it? Otherwise, what did this man come here for today? Didn't he want to take advantage of this time to openly remove Yun Bingjun from the position of regent? Duke Bingwa was not an official, but a noble title. It sounded nice, but it had no real power. As for Yun Bingjun, he did have an official position. Anyone who could be regent was naturally a first-rank official. However, Zhou Jin did not mind this. As long as Yun Bingjun was not regent, it was fine. When the other party returned to the court, the entire court would be his people. Even 10 Yun Bingjuns would not be able to change the situation. Duke Bingwa, rest at ease and recuperate. We will give you a years-long vacation. Your salary will remain the same. Today, you will be rewarded with 10,000 gold. Zhou Jin patted Yun Bingjuan's shoulder. We will wait for you to recover and come back to pledge your loyalty. A years-long vacation was enough to do anything. When Yun Bingjun held the imperial edict, he was still somewhat unable to react. Of course, Zhou Jin would not stay here for long. He conferred the title of duke and rewarded Yun Bingjun with something. Then he took Tang Guo and left. Yun Bingjun was left in the room in silence. This time, he understood that something big had happened in the court. Today, although Zhou Jin was still smiling cheekily and looked very frivolous, he gave off a very different feeling. That aura that could not be ignored made him feel uneasy. Yun Bingjun did know that Zhou Jin was changing people recently, but he never believed that Zhou Jin could really control those officials. He thought that when the time came, it would definitely be a mess. As for the matter of Zhou Jin sending evidence to those officials would not take the initiative to expose it. They were the ones who informed each other. As for Yun Bingjuan's side, they wanted to see the regent make a fool of himself and let him see the power of the little emperor. They finally reacted. Everyone had misjudged and been fooled by the little emperor. The little emperor was not stupid. Back then, he had only listened to Yun Bingjun because Yun Bingjun had the upper hand. He was a strong person, and his decisions were probably in line with his intentions. It wasn't that the little emperor didn't want to control power himself, but he was too weak back then and needed time to grow. Thus, he used Yun Bingjun to restrain his subject. When he grew into a fierce tiger, he would become the king of this mountain. Whoever was disobedient, the little emperor would eat them up. The evidence given to them was like a dangerous message sent by a tiger, a warning to them. If they really restrained themselves and were obedient, then he would not care about it. But if they were disobedient, then he would settle the old and new debts together. Their end would be very miserable. The little emperor's methods were much more powerful than the late emperor's. The fierce tiger had become powerful, and no one could resist. Chapter 49:13. Yun Bingjun asked someone to thoroughly understand the recent situation. Only then did he discover that the little emperor's sudden growth was simply shocking. That group of courtiers hid their own affairs tightly, but he had a group of useful people in his hands. After careful investigation, he still knew how Zhou Jin dealt with them. The old guys who could stay in the court now were very obedient. The emperor's previous meaning was not to pursue the past. If they made the same mistake again, they would definitely be more miserable than those who retired. I didn't expect that I was careless and underestimated him. Yun Bingjun spread out the imperial edict in his hand and looked at the words of praise on it. There was no anger in the emperor's words towards him. It was completely grateful to him, the former regent, for his contributions. He actually felt powerless. If the little emperor treated him angrily, it meant that the other party was still young and only controlled the power for a while. But the little emperor was so tactful that no one could find fault with him. He couldn't do anything. If he didn't guess wrong, the little emperor had been training these people for a long time. If they could tamper with the courtiers of the court, then most of the military power should be in his hands. He remembered the incident 2 years ago when the small border countries came to make trouble. He estimated that at that time, the little emperor had gathered a lot of military power, and the people he promoted before were all the little emperors. There should be a group of hidden forces in the little emperor's hands. If I didn't guess wrong, it was prepared for him by the late emperor. No wonder, among so many princes, the late emperor was angry and decided to choose the youngest prince. It wasn't that the late emperor was old and muddle-headed, but that the struggle between the princes was too fierce. The various factions made the late emperor somewhat powerless. In order to contain the various forces, he chose him as the regent and entrusted him to personally assist the little emperor, giving him supreme power. This was a gamble, because the late emperor clearly understood that if the throne fell into the hands of the other princes, it would definitely be a bloodbath and the court would be in turmoil. And he, Yin Bingjun, rose suddenly. The late emperor seemed to trust him very much and even gave him the opportunity to develop his power. He just wanted to find someone to fight with the courtiers. He wanted him to be a thug and let the little emperor secretly develop behind the scenes. What a good late emperor, what a good scheme. What a good little emperor, hiding in front of him for so many years. To be so shrewd at such a young age, it was no wonder that he lost. Come to think of it, his policies over the years have been wholeheartedly for the sake of the country and the people. In fact, it was the former emperor who had hinted at him back then, and he himself had not been able to get out of it. He had been plotted against by the father and son. Yin Bingjun let out a long sigh. The little emperor's momentum was already set, and he could not stop it. Just thinking about it made him feel stifled. Especially when he looked at the imperial edict, the little emperor still wrote that he would wait for him to return and pledge his loyalty. His heart was very sullen. Was he not done ordering him around? Yin Bingjun was so angry that his face alternated between green and white. He almost had a relapse. Bingjun, I heard that the emperor came. Is there something wrong? Chu Qiu entered the room and saw that Yin Bingjun's complexion wasn't very good. Could it be that the problem you encountered is very difficult and you need to go back immediately to deal with it? Yin Bingjun shook his head. No, the little emperor is not simple. I actually misjudged him. He passed the imperial edict to Chu Qiu. After reading it, Chu Qiu did not understand why Yin Bingjun was so angry. What's wrong with this Duke Bing? Chapter 49:14. It's not that bad, but compared to the title of regent, it's naturally not that good. Regent is a position that the late emperor specially created to assist the emperor. It's above the courtiers and can influence the emperor's decisions. Previously, I purposely said that after the emperor took over, there would be no need for the position of regent. I didn't expect him to remove it and give me the title of duke. Yin Bingjun coughed twice. He also gave me a year of leave to recover. When I return to the court, even if my official rank is still there, it will be different from before. The little emperor's power has already been established. I can't stop it. In the future, I will only be a normal first-rank official. If I go against the little emperor for personal reasons, then my fate will be the same as those courtiers who retire. How can it be like this? Isn't the little emperor a useless person? Chu Qiu didn't know much about the court. In any case, she had received 9 years of compulsory education in the modern era. When Yin Bingjun said this, she understood. A puppet emperor was actually in power. It sounded like a dream. He's faking it. He played me and those courtiers, playing the pig to eat the tiger, secretly developing. These two sentences flashed through Chu Qiu's mind. The people of the ancient era really couldn't be underestimated. Then what will you do in the future? Yin Bingjun, I can only be a courtier. But if the great mist kingdom has any difficulties, the little emperor should solve them himself. He was unhappy that he had been played for a fool. The little emperor still wanted him to go back and work for him. Actually, you worked so hard for so many years. What can you get out of it? It's also good to stop and live a quiet and ordinary life. Chu Qiu didn't have any ambition to dominate. She preferred stability. Knowing that the little emperor didn't seem to have any intentions of pursuing her, she didn't think too much about it. Of course, she still found it a little hard to accept the sudden change in the little emperor's persona. She didn't expect that she had misjudged him. He wasn't a useless person. Then Qiu, are you willing to enjoy this peaceful time with me? He was disappointed in the court, but he couldn't be disappointed in the love arena. Chu Qiu didn't want Yin Bingjun to be hurt again. Yin Bingjun's soulless appearance really made her heart twist. Of course I'm willing. She couldn't lie to herself. Then let's go back and discuss our marriage with your elder brother. Yun Bingjun held Chu Chio's hand. I won't wrong you. Bingjun, I agree to be with you, but not with them. This is my biggest concession. She didn't want to meet Tang Shan. Since she had chosen this path, she was ready. Yun Bingjun would spend some time with Tang Shan. Tang Shan was so vicious to her. If she moved in, she didn't know when she would lose her life. With Tang Shan's personality, even if she wasn't with Yun Bingjun, the other party would find a way to get rid of her. Since that was the case, why couldn't she follow her heart? She also felt that she was crazy. As a modern soul, how could she accept this? She could only blame herself for coming too late. If she had come earlier, perhaps she and Yun Bingjun would have been able to fly away together. All right, as you wish. Actually, Yun Bingjun had this thought because he was afraid that Tang Shan would hurt Chu Chio if he wasn't careful. Tang Shan was too ruthless. She could even lay her hands on her own sister, let alone Chu Chio. After being married for so many years, he still didn't truly recognize what kind of person Tang Shan was. The two were in the courtyard, but the matter of the regent becoming Duke Binghua was being discussed in Jing. Chapter 49:15. Not long after the imperial edict was announced, Zhou Jin arranged for someone to deliver a message to Tang Shan and a plaque from the duke's residence. It meant that they should quickly change into it. Tang Shan was thus promoted from princess regent to the duchess. This day was extremely lively. At the same time, the capital also understood that the little emperor had grown up and held all the power in his hands. The Great Mist Kingdom no longer had a prince regent. Chu Ding had been staying in the capital recently because Chu Chio suddenly ran away on the day of the wedding. The matter was not settled yet, and he wanted to wait for a result. He did not expect such a change in the Great Mist Kingdom. The Great Mist Kingdom had really changed. When the family Tang people received this news, they were a little flustered. They even wanted to hand over a plaque and planned to see the Tanghua in the palace. Of course, they were rejected and named. The empress in the palace had nothing to do with the family Tang. Didn't they chase her out of the family long ago? At this time, the family Tang people were extremely regretful, but there was nothing they could do. At this time, there was another piece of bad news. Yun Bingjun brought Chu Chio back to the duke's residence and planned to marry Chu Chio as a co-wife. Chu Ding could not stop Chu Chio's decision. After witnessing Chu Chio and Yun Bingjun's wedding and knowing that Chu Chio would not live in the duke's residence and would live in another residence, he was relieved. It's been hard on you, Chu Ding said to Chu Chio before he left. But you chose this path. If you regret it in the future, it will be too late. Since I have chosen, I will not regret it, Chu Chio said. Big brother, I can't escape this. Chu Ding left. He thought that he would not come to the Great Mist Kingdom in the future. He still had to bring the news of the change in the Great Mist Kingdom back. After all, this was a big matter. Tang Shan watched all of this. When she was called the Duchess, her heart was bleeding. The recent events were a double blow to her, especially Yun Dan and Yun Xian, who wanted to see the bride. It was already good that she did not die from anger. Chu Chio, on the other hand, was known as the Young Duchess. These two people felt that these titles were very distasteful, but it was their choice. Tang Shan didn't give up on dealing with Chu Chio, but now that Yun Bingjun and Chu Chio were newlyweds, the next time she wanted to make a move, she had to do it cleanly. What made Tang Shan even more furious was that Yun Dan and Yun Xian actually called Chu Chio Lil Miss. Not to mention Tang Shan, Chu Chio was also quite resistant to this form of address, but it was Yun Bingjun who asked them to call him that. The two of them only knew that Chu Chio treated them well and did not dislike this form of address at all. Little miss, why don't you stay in the public house? Yun Dan asked. Chu Chio was actually unwilling to talk about this, but since Yun Dan asked, she still said, I'm afraid that I'll disturb First Madam. I'm used to peace and quiet, and I don't like to follow the rules too much. Living here is more comfortable. Then can we visit Lil Miss often in the future? Yun Xian asked. Chu Chio smiled and replied, Of course you can, as long as your mother doesn't blame you. In fact, she had some ideas in her heart. As long as Tang Shan dared to go against her, she would win over both of her children to her side. Walking on this path of no return, she was slowly becoming someone she didn't know, but this was her choice. who told her to have no choice but to reject that person. Yin Dan and Yin Xin often ran over to Chu Chio's place because there were always all kinds of little things here. It was much more fun than in the public house. There were not so many rules and regulations here, and they would not be scolded by their mother. They liked it very much. Chapter 49:16. Yin Bingjun would not stay at Chu Chio's place all the time. He would often visit Tang Shan, but he had already realized that his feelings for Tang Shan were no longer the same as before. He could no longer be affectionate with her. Perhaps when he found out that Tang Shan secretly wanted Chu Chio's life, his love for this person faded. Tang Shan did it again and again, making him unable to like her. Tang Shan naturally felt that her husband was not close to her. The children were gradually not close to her. After finishing their homework, they ran to play with Chu Chio. She was like a joke. She finally couldn't take it anymore and arranged for people to call the two children back. She urged them to learn all kinds of things and didn't allow them to go out to play. This method made the two children more and more disobedient. They felt that Tang Shan was unreasonable. "You're not allowed to go. Mother, we've already finished all our homework. Why can't we go? Can we go and play?" Yin Dan said angrily. "Mother, how did you become like this? Mother, we always bring you something fun every time. It's not like we forgot about you." Tang Shan's face was stiff. "What's so good about those things? Running there every day. Aren't you afraid of being gossiped about? Father is so powerful. Who dares to gossip? If anyone dares to, I'll hit them." Yin Dan waved her fist. "Mother, I already told Lil Miss that I must go today. You're not allowed." Tang Shan ordered people to take the two children down and lock them in the house. No matter how much they made, she did not soften her heart. If she did not discipline them, the children would not be hers. That bitch Chu Chio was too much. She actually bewitched her children. Yun Dan and Yin Xin were locked up for 2 days and could not go out. It was Chu Chio who reminded Yun Bingjun that he asked about the situation and let the two children out. "Is it wrong for me to discipline my children? They're not young anymore. It's time for them to learn more." Tang Shan said righteously. "How can they run out to play all day long?" She did not mention Chu Chio at all. Yin Bingjun could not do anything about it. They can't be locked up at home all the time. Tang Shan's face made Yun Bingjun even less want to interact with her. If you want to discipline them, then discipline them. Tang Shan watched Yin Bingjun leave and almost broke her teeth. It was all because of that bitch Chu Chio that Bingjun and the child treated her like this. Tang Shan was so angry that her chest heaved up and down. She quickly swallowed a life-prolonging pill. She wouldn't die. If she didn't kill that bitch Chu Chio, she would live well. "Madam, there are guests outside." Tang Shan frowned. "Who's here?" "It's the Empress." Tang Shan clenched her fists. Why was she here? Tangwa hated her so much. She must have come for something bad. She was also very angry when she thought of Tangwa. She was clearly a woman who could not bear children, but she was able to obtain the Emperor's exclusive favor. Jealousy made her eyes turn red. Her Majesty the Empress has arrived. When Tang Shan saw Tangwa, she did not bow. Instead, she asked, "What are you doing here?" At this point, she didn't even want to pretend anymore. Tangwa did not mind the etiquette. She was just here to take a look at the cold house of High Duke. She had heard that Tang Shan's life had been very difficult recently. Her experience was very infuriating, but she did not sympathize with her at all. Tangwa found a seat and sat down. "I'm just here to take a look. Are you very proud to see me down and out?" "Madam, Duke has changed a lot. Now you don't even want to pretend anymore." Tang Shan sneered. "I don't want to pretend anymore. If you didn't harm me, I wouldn't be here today." Tangwa said, "You calculated step by step. You didn't even let go of your own sister. Family Tang depends on you. No one will help you. I don't want your help." Tang Shan said this in a fit of pique. If she knew that the little emperor was so capable, she really would not have made that move. With a sister who was the empress, how could she be so isolated? "I'm here to give you something." Tangwa took out a box. "This pill is called a dream of golden millet. Can you know the past and present life? If you want to know, why don't you take it and sleep?" Tang Shan did not take it. Tangwa put the box aside and left. She only left a sentence. I'm really here to see you make a fool of yourself. See how miserable you are. You'll be even more miserable in the future. Yin Bingjun was dealing with personal feelings. He was not willing to work for Ajin. Let Chu Qiu and Tang Shan play with him. Anyway, they were not on good terms. There were many talents in this world. Ajin was a wise ruler. Would she be afraid that there would be no one to use him? For example, Yin Ling, who wanted to go sightseeing, was caught by her and brought back to work for Ajin. There were many talents. Chapter 49:17. What's a pipe dream? Such a strange name. Past and present? Tang Shan looked at the box on the side and said disdainfully, "Take it out and throw it away." "Yes, madam." The maid reached out to take the box. Just as she was about to leave, Tang Shan's heart skipped a beat. She felt like she was about to miss something. She hurriedly shouted, "Wait, put it down." "Yes, madam." The maid didn't dare to disobey. She gently put the box down and silently retreated to the side. Tang Shan hesitated for a moment. In the end, she still picked up the box and opened it. Inside lay a smooth and round pill. She closed the box again and frowned. What did Tangwa mean? Did she mean for her to eat this pill? This pill was a pipe dream. It could let her know the past and present. How could such a thing happen? Tang Shan didn't believe it, but she still kept the box in her room and placed it in a wooden box. She even locked the wooden box. Tangwa knew that Tang Shan hadn't taken a pipe dream yet. Tangwa thought that even if Tang Shan didn't use it now, she would use it later. She wasn't worried at all. Wouldn't it be better if Tang Shan used it later? She would regret it more when the time came. That a pipe dream was from Yun Bingjuan's perspective. There were many versions of a golden millet dream created by Zi Yun. Usually, a golden millet dream looked at one's previous life from their own perspective. However, there were also pipe dreams from another person's perspective. Tang Gua had used it in the previous world. When refining this pipe dream, one needed to add an extra ingredient. This ingredient was that person's hair or blood. For example, in the world full of second-generation immortals, Tangui used Yuni Chin's hair to refine the pipe millet dream that she spread to the immortals. She was very powerful. With Yuni Chin's cultivation, he wouldn't be able to detect it if she secretly took some of his hair. Yin Bingjun was just an ordinary person. If she wanted to take a normal person's hair, it would be even easier. Tangwa wanted to use Yun Bingjuan's perspective because she wanted Tang Shan to see what happened to her child and husband after her death. Wouldn't that be more exciting? "Madam, I don't think the High Duke will come." It was already dark in front of her, but Tang Shan was still sitting in the room and waiting. Yun Bingjun was nowhere to be seen for a long time. She looked at the door, but the familiar figure did not appear. She had never been treated like this since she got married. It was all because of that slut Chu Qiu. If not for Chu Qiu, how could she have ended up in such a state? The Tang family was not having a good time either. The emperor who was in charge of the government was investigating some past matters. Those who had borrowed money from the imperial court were all being urged to return it one by one. Money was a small matter. What was more frightening was that many of the younger generation in the family who had committed crimes were not clean. Now, they were thinking of ways to get away with it. Every day, people from the family came to her for help. If she wasn't asking in Bingjun for help, then she was asking her to go see the empress in the palace, which was her younger sister. Didn't the family know that she had fallen out with Tang Guo a long time ago? Especially today, she didn't even want to pretend anymore. She was still annoyed to death by the family people. In the past few days, those people had even asked her to go to the palace to apologize and admit her mistakes. No matter what, even if she left the family, they were still blood-related. Maybe they would be happy and agree. Chapter 49:18. When had she, Tang Shan, ever been treated like this? Why should she admit her mistake and apologize? She was not the one who committed the crime. Those people were usually unclean. Now that they could not get away with it, they were desperate and criticized her. The words they said were very unpleasant. "Madam, you haven't eaten dinner yet. It's already cold. Why don't you eat first? No matter what, your health is important. If your health is bad, how can you support such a big family?" The maid persuaded. The recent events made the servants of the House of Duke panic. Especially the old people of the House of Duke. They did not expect Yin Bingjun and Tang Shan, who had always been loving, to part ways. Now that the House of Duke had a new lover, if the madam really fell out of favor, what should they do? I can't eat. So many things happened recently. How could she eat? Do you think I don't want to be healthy? If she was not healthy, what would happen to the two children? Yin Bingjun did not care now. If Chu Qiu was pregnant in the future, who knew what would happen to Tan Air and Exine Air? Tang Shan had a headache. Yes, other than Yin Bingjun, she still had two children. If she did not pull herself together, the two children would only be bullied. Today, she was angry with Yin Bingjun, but she still pushed him further and further away. Yin Bingjun still felt a little guilty toward her. It was because of her repeated actions that Yin Bingjun did not want to come back. No, this could not be. If this went on, the real House of Duke would become a joke. Tang Shan sighed heavily. Go and heat up the food. I'll eat. Yin Bingjun only returned after 10 days. He thought that when he saw Tang Shan, she would be mocking and ridiculing him. He did not expect to see Tang Shan, who was getting thinner, with haggard eyes, and looked pitiful. The person who stood in the courtyard as if a gust of wind would blow her away. He could not help but recall the bits and pieces of the past with Tang Shan. His heart softened, ached, and felt a little guilty. Why are you standing here and wearing so little? Do you want to die? Yin Bingjun walked over and hugged Tang Shan. He brought her back to the room and scolded her. Tang Shan's eyes were red and tears fell. She did not look as aggressive as before. It was really pitiful. Shan, I'm sorry. I was too impulsive. I don't blame you. I'm too narrow-minded, Tang Shan said. Bingjun, I don't know if you can understand the feeling of having to share everything you could have with a stranger halfway through. This feeling is very uncomfortable. It will drive people crazy, lose control of their thoughts, and do some unforgivable wrong things. The weather has been very cold recently, and I've been exposed to the cold wind every day. Finally, I'm awake. If I don't correct my attitude, I might lose you forever. Shana, I'm really sorry about that. I can understand how you feel. Sometimes, feelings can't be controlled. Bingjun, find some time to invite little sister Chu over for a meal. Treat it as my apology to her. I was wrong before. All right, dear host, Tang Shan is most likely going to use a soft strategy. She realized that if she uses force, Yin Bingjun will only be pushed further away. He will also be on guard against any of her actions. Whatever she does, she won't succeed. Chu Qiu will probably suffer a little. Tang was said casually. Tang Shan's heart had always been vicious. Chapter 49:19. To be able to make Tang Shan give in, she must have a motive and was secretly preparing to take a bite out of the other party. Yin Bingjun, this person, was very skillful in dealing with matters in the imperial court, but once he was faced with a woman who moved his heart, he was trash. Recently, Yin Bingjun could be said to be flushed with success. He was very satisfied that his two wives were getting along well. However, he did not know that behind his back, Chu Qiu did not like to see Tang Shan. When Tang Shan saw Chu Qiu, on the surface, she was amiable and had a smile, but in reality, she could not help but want to kill the other party. However, Yin Bingjun liked this. He liked Chu Qiu's intelligence and wisdom. She did not care about trifles. There was something about her that was different from ordinary women. He also liked Tang Shan's gentleness. Ever since the conflict was resolved, looking at Tang Shan's performance, he thought that Tang Shan had really thought it through. The guilt from before was born again, and he treated Tang Shan much better. He decided to be fair. What Chu Qiu had, Tang Shan also had. They were both his wives, and no one would treat the other unfairly. Tang Shan did not act rashly for the time being. She could not be too impulsive now to avoid arousing Yin Bingjun's suspicion. If the other party caught her again, then she really would not have a chance to turn things around. First, she had to use Yin Bingjun to help the family Tang get through this difficult situation. No matter what, the family Tang was her family. If the family Tang collapsed, then she would have no way out. The family Tang was there and could help her a little. At least, it would be more convenient to help her with some trivial matters. Some things were not suitable for her to do. Since Tang Shan was like this, Yin Bingjun naturally would not refuse to help the family Tang. No matter what, they had a certain relationship. Therefore, Yun Bingjun helped the family Tang repay their debts to the imperial court. He also helped find evidence to reduce the punishment of the family Tang's younger generation. The family Tang crisis was temporarily resolved. Zhou Jin saw all of this. There were many such things in the capital. It was impossible for this pool of water to be completely clean. If he really plucked too much, it would not be good for him. As long as he could get through it, the imperial court would not lose out, and the people below would be alerted. The current family Tang could not stir up any big waves. Besides, no matter what, the relationship between Tanghua and the family Tang could not be cleared. The duke is quite rich. Zhou and Tanghua. When Tanghua heard this, she paused for a moment before saying, "He is indeed quite rich. Back then, I also asked him for 1,000,000 taels of gold as compensation." Zhou Jin asked in surprise, "You're really capable. I've been racking my brains for so long and have a headache chasing after the debt. In the end, you've easily gotten 1,000,000 gold as compensation." With, of course, he was so straightforward because of the life-prolonging prescription. Tanghua explained the scene back then. "I don't know if Yun Bingjun still has a lot of money in his hands. No matter how much money he has, it's best if he can get it under various names. Also, Chuchio's business is not small. You have to pay more attention. When appropriate, the imperial court must intervene in her business. To put it bluntly, Chuchio can't be too casual in the economic lifeline. Otherwise, if she makes any small movements, it will easily cause unrest in the country. Appropriately intervene, arrange for the imperial court's people in advance, and the imperial court to make some investments. Take a part of the management power in your hands. The economic lifeline is not something that Chuchio can touch whenever she wants." Chapter 49:20. Zhou Jin was deep in thought. He felt that his Gua was right. If the imperial court did not intervene in the things in Chuchio's hands, the other party would withdraw out of anger. It would indeed bring a lot of turmoil to the imperial court. "Then I'll arrange for someone to talk to Chuchio first," Zhou Jin asked. "But what if she doesn't agree, gets angry out of humiliation, and even returns to Nanxi Nation to give these things to them?" "Jin, get someone to talk to her first. If she doesn't agree, I'll think of a way for you. Actually, I've been researching the things she researched recently. If she really doesn't agree, then we can research imitations. It's the same." Of course, Tanghua didn't need imitations, but she didn't want to expose that she was also a transmigrator, so she could only use imitations as an excuse. The technology in her hands was more exquisite than Chuchio's. The next day, Zhou Jin arranged for someone to talk to Chuchio about this matter. Because Chuchio's business had already expanded, there were shops everywhere, and some shop owners would come to her to get goods. Zhou Jin looked at the information and realized that Chuchio had developed so quickly. Thinking of what Tanghua had said, he was still a little scared. When we went to talk, Yun Bingjun was also there. He didn't agree, and Chuchio didn't agree either. The two of them were very stubborn. Zhou Jin changed the topic to Tanghua. There was no other way. He couldn't compare to Tanghua in this aspect. He was going to be a man who lived off a woman again. "Go and talk again. Tell them to talk 3 times. If 3 times don't work, we'll use the second method. In the future, we'll set up a business in the name of the imperial court. Didn't you say that Yun Jilin was knowledgeable and had many wonderful ideas? Let's leave this to Yun Jilin. You can also design a logo for the business. In the future, when this logo is spread all over the world, the quality of the goods will be guaranteed. When the people hear that it's a product of the imperial court, it will definitely be of high quality." Yunji Ridge. Zhou Jin read the name. "That's great." After 3 talks, Chuchio and Yun Bingjun didn't agree. In Chuchio's opinion, the imperial court couldn't take out the things in her hands. The imperial court wanted to interfere in her business. If Yun Bingjun's help, she might really compromise. However, with Yun Bingjun around, she didn't need to be afraid at all, so she refused without thinking. These things were beneficial to the country and the people, and they were indispensable in the lives of the common people. When the commoners got used to it, they would still rely on these things. How could she let the imperial court interfere in the management. However, Chuchio was still somewhat worried. After all, that was an existence that even Yun Bingjun could not shake. Your Majesty, if we do this, will the imperial court issue regulations that are detrimental to my shop? It shouldn't be. The emperor hasn't mentioned this recently. However, in the imperial court today, the emperor decided to establish a business in the name of the imperial court and appointed Yunji Ling to manage it. I think the emperor is feeling a little short of money and wants to get involved in business. I see. It shouldn't affect my shop, right? No, the emperor hasn't mentioned this recently. Now, Yin Bingjun basically did not raise any opinions in court, nor did he oppose anything. He was just like a wooden stake. He was played by the father and son pair, and he was still angry in his heart. He would not help the little emperor. Then I'm relieved. All right, I'm watching over everything. Let's go and eat. Shan is still waiting. Yin Bingjun held Chuchio's hand. Chuchio felt uncomfortable, but she had no choice but to go. Tang Shan hadn't shown any malice to her for a long time. If she didn't go, then she would be the one in the wrong. Chapter 49-21. Yun Dan and Yun Xian had been living happily recently because their mother no longer stopped them from going to play with Chuchio. Every day when they finished their homework and went to play with Chuchio, Tang Shan would tell them to bring some snacks to share with Chuchio. Tang Shan also explained to them that she didn't let them go over to play because she was afraid that they would lose their minds and not finish their homework. Now that she knew that they were very hardworking and wouldn't lose their homework because of playing, she as their mother could rest assured. Moreover, Chuchio was a smart and intelligent girl. Playing with her would definitely not lead her astray. When the two heard Tang Shan praise Chuchio, they were naturally happy. It turned out that they had misunderstood their mother. She was always thinking for them. Tang Shan was gentle and pleasant. On the surface, she never got jealous of Chuchio. Occasionally, she would tell Yun Bingjun to stay with Chuchio more. After all, Chuchio had just married into the family and needed someone to accompany her. How could he not be satisfied with such a gentle and considerate Tang Shan? The more Tang Shan asked him to visit Chuchio, the more Yun Bingjun would think about this place. After running around for 2 to 3 months, Yun Bingjun had an idea. Since they got along so well, why not let Chuchio live in the Duke Public House? Wouldn't that be better? When Yun Bingjun mentioned this to Chuchio, Chuchio naturally rejected it. Her only bottom line for marrying Yun Bingjun was not to live in the Duke Public House. If she lived there, she wouldn't be able to make any decisions. Now that Tang Shan was so amiable, who knew what would happen in the future? She wasn't willing. Tang Shan persuaded Yun Bingjun. Sister Chu is used to being free. Bingjun, it's better to listen to her. Tang Shan speaking up for her didn't make Chuchio happy at all. Instead, it made her feel even more isolated. She could feel that Yun Bingjun was a little unhappy. She suddenly felt very sad. Although Yun Bingjun liked her, his heart was still divided into two. One for her and the other for Tang Shan. She couldn't have it all to herself. In the following days, no matter what Chuchio asked for, Tang Shan would support it. Everyone in the capital knew that Tang Shan treated Chuchio well. They all said that she was a tolerant person. Chuchio's heart was very sullen. When she showed some dissatisfaction, Yun Bingjun said to her, "Shan has good intentions. How can you think like that?" This sentence made Chuchio very uncomfortable in his heart. Yun Bingjun was good at coaxing people. In the next moment, he would use other methods to coax Chuchio. He was like this when dealing with Chuchio and Tang Shan. Chuchio was easily coaxed, but Tang Shan wasn't. She had experience giving birth to a child, raising a child, and loving her husband to the point where her husband married another woman. How could she be coaxed with just a few sweet words or pledges of eternal love? How could she be coaxed with just a few small toys? Don't be fooled by Tang Shan's amiable appearance. In fact, there wasn't a day when she was willing to tolerate Chuchio. But now she had to endure. Only by enduring and putting on a good show would she be able to achieve her goal. Her husband's heart had already been slowly separated, so she could only look at her 2 children. For the sake of her child's future, She couldn't let Chu Qiu and Yun Bingjun have their way. On this day, Chu Qiu went to check on the shop. He found that the shop was cold and cheerless. It was not as lively as it was yesterday. Ever since she opened her shop, was there ever a day that it wasn't overcrowded? There was something wrong with today's situation. Go and find out what's going on, Chu Qiu said to the shop assistant beside her. She didn't know why, but she felt a bit uneasy. Chapter 49:22. What did you say? The imperial court released all kinds of perfumes, soaps, perfumed soap, and mosquito-repellent incense. When Chu Qiu heard the shop assistant's words, he couldn't sit still. How could the imperial court release these things? It was impossible for the imperial court to control the secret recipes for these things. These things were all in her hands. Moreover, the place where they were produced was guarded by Yun Bingjun's men. That was why she was so confident. Only she could take out these things. When Chu Qiu received the news, Yun Bingjun naturally knew as well. He didn't know why the imperial court released these things. After the imperial court's business was established, Zhou Jin asked Yun Jilin to be in charge of this matter. Later on, Yun Jilin only interacted with Zhou Jin and Tang Guo alone. Yun Bingjun didn't ask about the imperial court's matters and didn't get close to Zhou Jin. Naturally, he didn't know about these things. He thought that if he sat in the imperial court, some new news wouldn't escape him. He didn't expect that he didn't know about such a big matter. Now, there were countless people that Zhou Jin could use. Although it was a pity that Yun Bingjun couldn't be used by him, it wasn't a pity. This Yun Jilin was good. His ideas were bold, and he was willing to try. Zhou Jin heard from Tanghua that Yun Jilin was a person with a lot of ideas. Many things were left to him to figure out, and there was no need to interfere too much. For a person like this, if he interfered too much, the other party wouldn't be able to do anything. As long as the overall situation wasn't chaotic, Yun Jilin would definitely give him a surprise. As expected, after Tanghua pretended to figure out those recipes, she actually gave her more detailed recipes to Yun Jilin. Yun Jilin knew what to do. Bingjun, you're here too? Chu Qiu bumped into Yun Bingjun and saw that his expression wasn't good. Why does the imperial court have these? Yun Bingjun shook his head. Let's take a look first. The two went to the shop opened by the imperial court. This shop was quite big, and the prices inside were relatively cheap. It was the kind that commoners could afford. Chu Qiu's previous definition was that only rich people would use it, so the prices were higher. The prices were cheaper and better than Chu Qiu's shop. Everyone could afford it. No wonder Chu Qiu's shop was deserted. Tanghua didn't take out the formula for the rouge and face powder. Chu Qiu could play with that by himself. She was more concerned about things like soap and mosquito-repellent incense. If these things were managed well, even if they were sold at a low price, they could still generate income for the royal court. They could even control the economic lifeline of the country. Chu Qiu's face was pale as she watched the shop assistant compete. It was obvious that the things here were more delicate. She was speechless. When our empress used this soap, she always felt that something was missing, so she researched it day and night and finally came up with the finished product. The same goes for soap. Her Majesty the Empress believes that the prices of these things are too expensive, and most of the citizens of our great Mist Kingdom are unable to afford them. So what's the point? Everyone should be able to afford something that benefits the country and the people. Thus, the emperor created his own business and began to manufacture these things. Then, he sold these good things to the common people at a fair price. According to official Yun, His Majesty has already arranged for merchants to bring these items to some small foreign countries for exchange. He hopes to exchange them for some good items. When these things reach those small foreign countries, they will be very valuable. That's why being born in the Great Mist Kingdom is our blessing to have such an intelligent empress and an emperor who considers the common people. Chapter 49:23. Yun Bingjun and Chu Qiu returned to the shop. They had already figured out the ins and outs of the matter, so there was nothing they could do. I'll think of something else. Chu Qiu quickly recalled some of the daily necessities in the modern era. She didn't believe that the empress would be able to create one just because she thought of one. If she could, she would admit defeat. The imperial court hasn't researched rouge and face powder. We can focus on this. Yun Bingjun hit the nail on the head. But most of these can only be sold to rich people. Those without money couldn't afford to buy them, even if they wanted to. Or buying them once a year was already very impressive. Chu Qiu felt uncomfortable. She really misjudged the emperor and empress. Yin Bingjun also felt very complicated. He didn't expect Tang Guo to have such wisdom. No wonder she liked the little emperor and he liked her. The two of them hit it off. I plan to inform my brother to come over and bring these things over, Chu Qiu said. In fact, she was a little regretful. If she had agreed to the imperial court's conditions a few months ago, she would have made a lot of money from the imperial court's sales. Now that the imperial court had its own products, it was a serious blow to her. Yin Bingjun. Okay, I'll arrange for someone to go. The two didn't know that the emissary arranged by Zhou Jin had already arrived at the Southern Qi Kingdom. He brought the products over and was negotiating the price with the Southern Qi Kingdom. When Yin Bingjun's emissary arrived, he said that Chu Qiu couldn't get any discount because the price she offered was very high. The monarch of the Southern Qi Kingdom wasn't a fool. It was much cheaper to buy these things directly from the imperial court of the Great Mist Kingdom than from Chu Qiu. It could also improve the relationship between the two countries. Also, they had their own things. They could use other things to offset the price. That would save even more money. In addition, there was the young duke's influence. They all supported the purchase of goods from the Great Mist Kingdom and didn't agree with Chu Qiu going back to open a shop to sell these things. After Chu Qiu and Yun Bingjun received this news, they could only dismiss this idea. Because Chu Qiu offended the young duke, she might not be able to sell anything to the Southern Qi Kingdom in the future. Because the things the Southern Qi Kingdom needed would be provided by the imperial court of the Great Mist Kingdom. There would also be other preferential policies, such as the previously mentioned offset. Yin Jiling was the one who suggested the idea of balancing out the goods. Ever since Chu Qiu ran away from the wedding, he had given up on that idea and planned to go sightseeing. Unexpectedly, he was stopped by Tang Guo on the way. Under Tang Guo's persuasion, he decided to give it a try. Since the empress had condescended to invite him, he decided to give her face. What he admired the most in his life was this kind of bold and unconventional woman. Now that Tang Guo had kidnapped him, he was curious. Even now, Yun Jiling didn't regret the decision he made back then. He didn't expect that Yun Jiling would have such accomplishments in his lifetime. Later, when he talked with Tang Guo, he found out that the person who controlled the salt wells in the world and made it so that the people could eat refined salt without the bitter taste was actually Tang Guo. He also heard from Zhou Jin that during the plague of locusts, when the imperial court was helpless against the two families, it was Tang Guo who had stocked up on grain and stabilized the grain prices, causing the aristocratic families to suffer losses. If Chu Qiu was said to have little wisdom, then the current empress must be said to have great wisdom. Chu Qiu's things were used to make money, but the empress's every idea was for the sake of the people. No wonder she was the empress. Chapter 49-24. Putting aside his personal feelings, Yun Jiling was very willing to be loyal to this kind of empress and emperor. So when Chu Qiu found him, he was just doing business. He had already let go of Chu Qiu's matter. The imperial court doesn't plan to interfere with things like rouge and face powder. You can do it, but the imperial court doesn't allow it. It will shake the foundation of the country. You need to understand. Reminding him of this was more or less the same as reminding him about the past. Ever since Chu Qiu chose to marry Yun Bingjun as a co-wife, Yin Jiling didn't have the same feelings towards her as before. This different woman chose the same path as other ordinary women. The path that she used to hate the most was polluted by the turbid secular world. Originally, he wanted to protect her, but unfortunately, she didn't need his protection. Ever since she ran away from the marriage, this was the first time Chu Qiu met Yin Jiling. I didn't expect that such a carefree person like you would also work for the imperial court. Since ancient times, men have the idea of achieving fame. I originally thought that the emperor was an incapable ruler and naturally didn't have the intention to serve the country. How could an incapable ruler tolerate an existence like me? But when I really got to know the emperor, I realized that he was a good emperor. As a man, doing things for the country and the people is my dream. To be honest, I used to study and put my love into mountains and rivers because I didn't succeed. The emperor was young and playful. The imperial court was controlled by the officials and the regent. I didn't want to be like them. Chu Qiu was a little embarrassed. She felt that Yun Jiling was willing. His appearance was like an angry youth. His eyes were bright, and it was very different from before. The emperor and empress are magnanimous people. You can earn your money. They won't care as long as you don't touch the foundation of the country. Chu Qiu, I understand. At this time, when talking to Yun Jiling, Chu Qiu felt that she would be inferior. This feeling made her feel a little uncomfortable. The person who was gentle to her in the past didn't have her in his eyes. Chu Qiu came to find Yun Jiling alone. Because of her matter, Yun Jiling and Yun Bingjun were not on good terms. They even fought once. Not long after Chu Qiu returned to the residence, Yun Bingjun knew that she went to see Yun Jiling and came to find her. Men in ancient times and modern times couldn't tolerate their own wife going to her ex to inquire about things. The two of them had a big quarrel, and Yun Bingjun flung his sleeves and returned to the public house. Facing Tang Shan's gentleness, his mood improved a lot. He even told Tang Shan about what Chu Qiu had done. Of course, Tang Shan was trying to persuade him. She said that Chu Qiu was just being immature and didn't have any other intentions. In comparison, Yun Bingjun felt that Tang Shan was really good. That month, he stayed in the public house. On the other hand, Yun Dan and Yun Xian visited Chu Qiu every day. They even pleaded for leniency in front of Yun Bingjun. Unfortunately, Yun Bingjun insisted that Chu Qiu admit her mistake and apologize to him personally. In the blink of an eye, half a year had passed. In this half a year, the Great Mist Kingdom's businesses had spread to countless places. Many small countries had begun to arrange for envoys to come to the Great Mist Kingdom to discuss the matter of purchasing goods. Every day, when Yun Bingjun went to court and saw the little emperor's proud appearance, he was very angry. Only when he was by Tang Shan's side did he feel much more comfortable. At this time, Yun Dan and Yun Xian brought news that Chu Qiu had been sick for several days and hadn't gone to check on the shop. Only then did Yun Bingjun go to see Chu Qiu. Seeing Chu Qiu's thin appearance, his heart ached. He regretted that he hadn't gone to see her for half a year. He asked the doctor how Chu Qiu was, but the doctor stammered and said that Chu Qiu's condition was that her body was weak. She would be fine after some nourishment. However, he didn't say the rest. Chapter 49-25. Under Yun Bingjun's questioning, the doctor finally said, Madam's illness can be cured with rest. However, Madam has been using the same type of food for a long time, so it's not suitable for her to get pregnant. The doctor did not dare to say it was too late. In this situation, there was no hope of getting pregnant. Even if she could get pregnant, there was a risk of miscarriage. When Chu Qiu heard this, her brain exploded. She subconsciously blurted out, "It must be her. Who is it?" Of course it was Tang Shan. Even Yun Bingjun had the same thought. Other than Tang Shan, who would do such a thing to Chu Qiu? However, he had always been on guard. This medicine seemed to be different from the one he gave Tanghua. There was no evidence. What if it was not Tang Shan? Everyone here was his people. These people would not betray him. How did Tang Shan drug Chu Qiu? Doctor, can she be saved? Yun Bingjun came back to his senses and quickly grabbed the doctor. Chu Qiu's eyes were already red. She was so sad that she cried. Because she had no strength, she got off the bed and immediately questioned Tang Shan. The doctor sighed, "Duke, maybe you can ask other doctors to take a look. I can't do anything. However, if you can find a doctor with great medical skills, perhaps Madam's body can recover a little. However, it is impossible for her to return to her previous state." Yun Bingjun's heart relaxed a little. At least there was still hope. If it was as hopeless as Tanghua, it would be a huge blow to Tang Shan. After the doctor shook his head and left, Chu Qiu grabbed Yun Bingjun. "Bingjun, it's her. Other than her, who would do this? Back then, she harmed her own sister. After that, she harmed me a few times. Now, she wants to harm me again. It makes sense." She really regretted it. Why did she think that Tang Shan had changed? Wasn't this kind of mistress of the harem the type to smile in front of people and stab people in the back? However, she was clearly prepared. When she went to the house to eat, she would only touch the food that the two children touched. Tang Shan could harm anyone, but she would not harm the two children. Cho'er, I will definitely investigate this matter thoroughly. Give me some time. If it's her, I will seek justice for you. I will help you find the best doctor. You will definitely be cured. After comforting Chu Chiu, Yun Bingjun hurriedly left. He searched through the entire residence, but he didn't find anything. After that, he went to the House of High Dukes and checked both inside and out, but he still could not find anything. In the end, he went to look for Tang Shan. He asked if Tang Shan was the one who did it. Naturally, Tang Shan wouldn't admit it. Seeing that Yun Bingjun didn't believe her, she directly smashed her head open, as if she was going to die to prove her innocence. Seeing Tang Shan's reaction, Yun Bingjun believed her. He returned to Chu Chiu's side. I don't think it was Shauna. It was probably someone else. No, it can only be her. Bingjun, believe me, other than her, no one would do this to me. This was a woman's intuition. Chu Chiu would not be wrong. She didn't believe that Tang Shan would use her death to prove her sincerity. That was just a trick. However, Yun Bingjun believed and even persuaded Chu Chiu to find the real culprit. I've already arranged for people to investigate. Also, let's see the doctor first. How about it? Chu Chiu temporarily suppressed the resentment in her heart. Yes, she had to recuperate and get pregnant at all costs. Only if she gave birth to a child and took over everything in the public house in the future, then she would be able to take revenge. She had tolerated Tang Shan too much. In the following year, Yun Bingjun searched for many doctors for Chu Chiu. In the end, he found a doctor who could help Chu Chiu recover a little. Chapter 49-26. Although this commoner can help Madam's body recover a little, there is still a high risk of miscarriage during pregnancy. Madam needs to sit and lie down. She cannot be too agitated and needs to rest. After Chu Chiu became pregnant, she did not leave the house. Yun Bingjun arranged for many people to guard her. Chu Chiu also did not go to the Duke's residence to eat. Yun Dan and Yun Xin were very worried about Chu Chiu. They visited her every day, looking forward to the birth of their younger siblings. Chu Chiu heard that Tang Shan was very opposed to the two of them coming to visit her. She was even angry. She was relieved that the two of them were close to her. Since Tang Shan was so vicious, she not only had to give birth to the children, she also had to rope them in. I knew that slut Chu Chiu would do this. Tang Shan laughed proudly when she heard about Chu Chiu's recent actions. If she did not strongly oppose the two children, how could Chu Chiu let the two children get close to her? How could she do anything? In order to make that slut Chu Chiu miscarry, she could only do this. A few days later, when Tang Shan was reading in her room, she heard someone report that Chu Chiu had a miscarriage. This time, her body was completely damaged. How did Chu Chiu miscarry? She was frightened by the bees. How did the bees come about? Yun Dan and Yun Xin were stained with bee pollen. When they accompanied Chu Chiu in the courtyard to sunbathe, the bees flew to their bodies. They were frightened, and then Chu Chiu was also frightened. Madam's body is seriously damaged. If she gets pregnant again, she may not be able to keep it. The doctor said, unless it is the reincarnation of Hua Chiu, I will find the reincarnation of Hua Tua for you. Yun Bingjun said. Chu Chiu's eyes were filled with anger. It's her. Chiu Tan and Xen are also seriously injured. She has always loved the children and would not hurt them. I have already arranged for people to investigate. The two children did not get stained with the pollen on purpose. When they came, they bumped into a flower carrier on the street. It was an accident. It could not be that coincidental. In order to get rid of her, Tang Shan sacrificed the two children just to let them be stung by the bees. That was something she could definitely do. However, Yun Bingjun did not believe her. This made Chu Chiu despair. What kind of person did she choose? Chu Chiu was now regretting it. Other people's husbands were not the best. If she hadn't run away from the marriage that day, would she have ended up like this? Chiu, I I will definitely find the reincarnated Hua Tuo for you. Chu Qiu didn't believe it and was very disappointed in Yun Bingjun. After Tang Shan found out, she didn't do anything else. She had been investigated so many times before. This time, she was careful and completely erased all the evidence. Even Yun Bingjun would not have thought that she would use such a method to drug him. Half a year later, Tang Guo was in the imperial palace eating fruits sent by a small foreign country. Ever since she introduced those things to the people, allowing everyone to use them, and then promoted them to the small foreign countries, the various items from the small foreign countries were all transported to the Great Mist Kingdom in huge piles. Many fruits had already been figured out how to grow. Yun Jilin was very fond of doing these things, and Zhou Jin trusted him. He decided to repay Yun Jilin with a sincere heart, and let the Great Mist Kingdom's prosperity come sooner. Only then would he be worthy of all their hard work. Great host, Chu Qiu has made a move on Yun Dan and Yun Xian. Tang Shan is too defensive, and Yun Bingjun is also afraid that she will do something stupid. Therefore, Chu Qiu took his anger out on Yun Dan and Yun Xian and drugged them. What drug? The drug that Great Host was once drugged with. Chapter 49-27. In the blink of an eye, 3 years had passed. The current Great Mist Kingdom was already the most powerful kingdom. It could be called a golden age. Yun Bingjun's rank 1 official position was revoked by Zhou Jin. Because he stood in the imperial court every day without doing any work and received a salary for free, the imperial court could not tolerate it. Of course, what Zhou Jin said on the surface was, "I heard that Duke Binghua has been looking for a miracle doctor for his wife recently. You can't do 2 things at once." Now, Duke Binghua is allowed to settle his personal matters first. When he's done, he can resume his official position. This position is still reserved for Duke Binghua. Then, after Yun Bingjun was removed from his position, this position was indeed vacant. In the future, there would be no such official in the Great Mist Kingdom. Because not long after Yun Bingjun was removed from his position, he created another rank 1 official. The person sitting in this position was Yun Jilin. Yun Bingjun did not care about that now. He was focused on looking for a miracle doctor. If he could not cure Chu Qiu, his family would never be at peace. At this time, he still did not know that Chu Qiu had done something to the 2 children. "Qiu'er, I'll take you to see the miracle doctor." After a few years of searching, Yun Bingjun finally heard of the miracle doctor's location. However, the miracle doctor could not be invited, so they could only go by themselves. Chu Qiu was disappointed in Yun Bingjun, but she still hoped to have a child, so she followed. Tang Shan could not stop this. She was not worried at all. However, a year later, Chu Qiu and Yun Bingjun returned. It was said that her body was cured, but half a year later, Chu Qiu was still not pregnant. The doctor said that there was nothing wrong with her body. Maybe it was because she was under too much pressure. Another year passed, and she was still not pregnant. Chu Qiu was very anxious, but there was nothing she could do. She had heard that some people could not get pregnant when they were under too much pressure. Tang Shan was watching from the side. She did not know that Yun Bingjun had inadvertently found out that the person behind this was Tang Shan. This time, he could not tolerate Tang Shan. Moreover, the person who had infected the 2 children with pollen was also her. Yun Dan and Yun Xian were angry at Tang Shan. They questioned her why she did this. She did not even let them off. In the face of Yun Bingjun's criticism, Tang Shan didn't say anything, but the 2 children's gazes made her feel very uncomfortable. Tang Shan was grounded by Yun Bingjun. Just like Tang Guo in the original plot, she was never allowed to leave that small courtyard. She only had a maid to serve her, and she had to eat food every day. When Chu Qiu moved back to the Duke's public house, she would be in charge of everything in the public house. This was Yun Bingjun's compensation to her. If it was the original Chu Qiu, he would definitely be unwilling. Right now, Chu Qiu was very angry with this family. Since Tang Shan didn't want her to have all of this, then she would snatch it away from Tang Shan right under her nose. Tang Shan was grounded, but she did not panic. This was because the public house would belong to her son sooner or later. However, She didn't expect that Chu Chiu would accidentally discover his secret. That time, Yin Bingjun had brought her out to play. In the end, they encountered an assassin. Yin Bingjun was injured and unconscious while protecting her. When the doctor was treating Yin Bingjun, Chu Chiu asked about Yin Bingjun's health. The doctor said that Yin Bingjun was indeed infertile. At that time, Chu Chiu understood that she had recovered, but Yin Bingjun had a problem. Needless to say, it must have been Tang Shan who did it. Chu Chiu did not tell Yin Bingjun the truth. However, she did not want the public house to fall into the hands of those two children. Therefore, she bribed someone and decided to fake pregnancy. She was worried that the fetus would be affected again. She said that she would go to another house to recuperate and that no one could disturb her. When the month came, she would carry a child. She also thought about whether she should borrow a man to give birth to a child. However, after thinking about it, she felt that it was too disadvantageous for her. She might even be threatened. Chapter 49-28. In the future, when the matter of her carrying a child was exposed and Yin Bingjun found out, she would tell the truth and he would not do anything to her. Tang Shan knew that Chu Chiu was pregnant but did not remind her. She planned to wait until Chu Chiu gave birth to the child before reminding her. 10 months later, Chu Chiu brought the child back. Tang Shan still did not make a move. She planned to wait for a few more years. If she let Yin Bingjun raise a bastard child for a few more years, he would probably vomit blood in anger. Tang Gua was in the palace, eating the melons of the house of Duke every day. She exclaimed that it was too exciting. Zhou Jin naturally knew too. He could not help but hug Tang with shoulder and side. Fortunately, I'm a clean person. I only like Gua and will never change my mind. If I were like Yin Bingjun, I suspect that Gua would play me to death. It's good that you know. Zhou Jin nodded obediently. Gua methods were much fiercer than those two. Look at the strategies she taught Yin Jiling. They were all things that made the small foreign countries speechless. Yin Jiling was originally such an adorable and honest subject. Now, he was being scolded by those small countries for being treacherous. Gua look, none of them won. They all think that it's all part of their plan. Zhou Jin suddenly sighed. Tang Gua raised her eyebrows. Why are you suddenly sighing? I just feel that compared to them, I'm really too lucky. First, I had father to think of a way out for me. Then I met you. You even helped me rope in that talent from Yin Jiling. You're even more useful than Yin Bingjun. System. Those who want to flatter, learn from this guy. Every time, flatter at the right place. In the blink of an eye, the child that Chu Chiu adopted was already 5 years old. Yin Dan and Yin Xin had also grown up. Yin Xin had already gotten married a few months ago. Yin Dan also got married. The House of Duke seemed to have calmed down. Yin Dan also began to understand that Chu Chiu was competitive with him. He was not that close to Chu Chiu. Instead, he often secretly went to see his biological mother. Tang Shan was waiting for this day. She knew that Yin Dan was worried, so she told him about Chu Chiu possibly having an affair. Yin Dan later thought about it. He realized that Yin Bingjun felt guilty towards Chu Chiu and his mother. He always thought of them. He felt that it was unfair, so he decided to expose this matter. When Yin Bingjun heard this, he was naturally furious and in disbelief. Yin Dan shouted, "My mother said, 'Father, you have been infertile for a long time. If she did not have an affair, how could you have a child?'" Yin Bingjun was so angry that smoke was coming out of his 7 orifices. He immediately ran to ask Tang Shan. Only then did he know how Tang Shan had drugged him. When they were in the public house, Tang Shan did not drug him. Instead, it was when he and Chu Chiu were living alone there that he drugged their meals. A little bit a day was enough. Yin Bingjun had always thought that Tang Shan would not lay a hand on him. He did not expect that Tang Shan would use this opportunity to harm Chu Chiu. Yin Bingjun originally wanted to beat Tang Shan to death, but then he remembered that Chu Chiu actually had an affair, so he quickly ran over to question Chu Chiu, asking him if he knew the truth. Chu Chiu admitted to everything, saying that she had known about it all those years ago. She just wanted to have a child by her side, but she was afraid that if she told him the truth, it would hurt him and affect the harmony of the family. Therefore, she had no choice but to adopt a child. I didn't do anything to let you down. You can investigate all these. Since you can't give me a child, I will raise one myself. Don't worry, I don't care about anything in the public house. I have property for my son." Yundan, who was at the side, heard this and his heart skipped a beat. He seemed to have shot himself in the foot. After Yun Bingjun investigated, he found that Chu Qiu really did not betray him. Naturally, the child would continue to be raised by Chu Qiu. Chu Qiu said that she wanted to move out of the public house and never return. This time, Yun Bingjun did not stop her. Although things did not go as expected, Yun Bingjun did not stop Chu Qiu from moving out. This showed that Yun Bingjun did not have a heart. Tang Shan was still very happy. At least the public house belonged to her son. However, bad news soon came. It was a letter from Chu Qiu. She wrote that her son and daughter were both in poor health and could forget about having children. Tang Shan was so angry that she vomited blood on the spot. She shouted that she wanted to find Yun Bingjun. Yun Bingjun brought people to find Chu Qiu, only to find out that Chu Qiu had already left the capital and returned to the southern Qi kingdom. It was likely that she would never return. Chapter 49-29. Yun Bingjun really didn't expect that the first half of his life would end up like this. Tang Shan looked at Yun Bingjun's lost expression, crying and laughing. "Yun Bingjun, how are the women outside? If you didn't make a mistake first, how could this have happened?" Yun Bingjun and Tang Shan looked at each other, only to realize that they were both old, with white hair on their heads. "If you didn't have second thoughts, how could I do these things? Then what about your sister?" Yun Bingjun asked, but Tang Shan couldn't say it. This should be something she regretted a lot, right? It wasn't that she regretted hurting Tanghua, but that she didn't expect Tanghua to have such great achievements. If the relationship between the two sisters wasn't broken, she wouldn't be afraid of Chu Qiu. Because Yun Xian couldn't bear children, she couldn't raise her head and had to tolerate her husband taking concubines. Only now did she finally understand her mother's pain and regret. As for Yundan, he had long regretted being a bastard. Every day, he thought about whether he could kill Chu Qiu, but he didn't have the ability. Tang Shan returned to the room and suddenly remembered the pill Tanghua gave her. There was no hope in this life. She wanted to see what was strange about the pill. Tang Shan took the pill. After a night and a dream, she woke up, crying and laughing. Yun Bingjun was right about one thing. If it wasn't for her, her children wouldn't have ended up like this, right? "Empress, the Grand Duchess wants to see you. Let her come." Tanghua didn't expect that Tang Shan would only come to see her in the end. Tang Shan came. At this time, her face was old, haggard, and her hair was a bit white. She was no longer the noble lady with a straight back wherever she went. At this time, only Tanghua and Tang Shan were in the palace. Tang Shan sat closest to Tanghua. She looked at Tanghua with a sad smile. "Since you knew, why didn't you stop it?" "Stop what?" "Stop Chu Qiu and Yun Bingjun from meeting? Or stop your two children from suffering? You are so cruel. You knew everything. Why didn't you stop it? You could have stopped it." Tanghua still maintained her youthful appearance, which made Tang Shan furious. "I couldn't be happier to see all of you in trouble. How could I possibly stop it?" Tanghua laughed and said, "Do you think I'm a saint who can forgive my enemies for eating my flesh and blood? I'm not Buddha, so I can't feed the eagle with my flesh. I'm just an ordinary person who wants to treat herself better. If it wasn't for you, would my Tanner and X-Center have ended up like this? You're so cruel." After saying that, Tang Shan took out a dagger and stabbed toward Tanghua crazily. He was kicked away by Tanghua. Tang Shan was still unwilling to give up. She got up from the ground and wanted to rush in front of Tanghua, but Zhou Jin had already come in and kicked Tang Shan away. "Take him away and beat him to death." Zhou Jin was furious. What a lunatic. Tanghua stopped him. "Don't kill him. Send him back to the public house." The guards did not hesitate at all. They listened to Tanghua's words and dragged Tang Shan out of the palace. In less than a day, everyone knew that Tang Shan had entered the palace to assassinate the empress. Tang Shan was locked in the small courtyard again, and the people outside scolded her. Yun Bingjun went to see her. and Tang Shan told him what she knew in a crazed manner. No wonder. A person changes so much, so this is the reason. I thought it was just the stimulation of that incident, but it turns out there's more. She is a cruel person. Yin Bingjun looked in the direction of the palace. Cruel? Yes, she was cruel, but shouldn't she be cruel? Chapter 49:30. Margaret, I wonder if the campus bell has arrived in the new world. Zun, don't worry about that. The campus bell will definitely inform us when she arrives. I'm more concerned about when the newbie will appear. That place has been blinking for a long time, and there are no names. Did the newbie encounter some problems? Shangguan Yungu, maybe there was an accident. Anyway, if a newcomer comes, he will definitely come. Margaret, you brat, don't call me a newbie. Are you out of trouble? Shangguan Yungu, soon. I don't think it will take long. Qi Xiao, you said the same thing last time. Don't tell me you fell into a beauty's nest and don't want to come out? Shangguan Yungu, what are you talking about? Senior Uncle Qi Xiao? I'm focused on cultivation. How could I be interested in women? Mo Yuntian, speak properly. If I didn't know better, I would think you're a monk instead of cultivator. Margaret, look, the newcomer's name has appeared. Even if the campus bell doesn't come to the magic world in the next world, I won't regret it. The newbie has appeared. Ziyun, Yin Xiao Xiao? It looks like a girl's name. I don't know if she's good or evil. Qi Xiao, most of the people who join our group are good people. There was one who wasn't good at first. Mo Yuntian, no matter what, let's be careful. The girl has been through so many things. You have to know that people's hearts are unpredictable. Mo Yuntian's reminder made everyone more cautious. When the newbie joined, they had to ask about the other party's background before deciding whether to give them something. If the newbie was a cultivator, there wouldn't be so many taboos to give them something. If the newbie was an ordinary person, they would have to be more careful when giving them something to avoid giving them something that the ordinary world couldn't handle. Margaret, I don't know when the newbie will speak. I waited for Empress Dowager Chun for a long time last time. Mo Yuntian, there aren't many people who can be as vigilant as Empress Dowager Chun. Even Yungu didn't wait that long. If the other party is an ordinary person from the mortal world, it won't take long for them to speak to us. If that place has cell phones or other communication devices, they would think that this is an ordinary group. Yin Xiao Xiao, isn't this an ordinary group? Huh? When the crowd saw Yin Xiao Xiao's words, they immediately guessed that she was an ordinary person. A person who could make such a statement was not curious about the group, nor did he seem to believe in any weird theories. Margaret, you can treat this as a normal group, but it's still a little different from a normal group. Yin Xiao Xiao, your nicknames are so weird. Are there still such silly names nowadays? Qi Xiao, my name is Chinibu, but that's my name. Maybe it's a name I gave myself a long time ago. At most, it's a little outdated. Yin Xiao Xiao, your names really look like the names of primary school students. Mo Yuntian, Yin Xiao Xiao, why don't you introduce yourself first? Yin Xiao Xiao, I told you it was a normal group. Why do we have to introduce ourselves when we're in the group? Did I key in the wrong group number? The group that Yin Xiao Xiao wanted to join was given to her by her mother. She wanted her to expand her circle of friends and meet men around her age. Vertex. Chapter 49:31. She didn't know where her mother found this group. It was said that the people in this group were all men and women of similar status and age as her. She wanted her to join this group and find someone she was satisfied with. Then, she could get married and have children. Because her mother was diagnosed with a terminal illness, the doctor said that she had at most a year to live. Her mother hoped that she could get married and have a child within a year. Then, she could rest assured. Yin Xiao Xiao looked at the strange online names and the strange avatars. She thought that she must have entered the wrong group number. Sure enough, she exited the group and compared the numbers. There was indeed a number wrong. I'm sorry, I joined the wrong group. I didn't want to join this group. If I'm disturbing you, I'm sorry. I'll leave now. Although she was a little curious about this strange group, she didn't know them after all. So, she decided to leave the group. It's nothing. There are very few people in this group, and it's never a big group. Those who can join are all fated. Since you're already in, there's no need to leave. After Margaret, the others also persuaded her to leave. Yin Xiaoxiao thought that it wasn't a big deal to join another group, so she didn't leave. I still have something to do, so I won't chat with you. Let's chat again next time. After saying goodbye to everyone, Yin Xiaoxiao didn't say anything else. This made Margaret and the others a little confused. They were very curious about who this Yin Xiaoxiao was. Half of the people who joined this group were basically cannon fodder. But Yin Xiaoxiao didn't look like she had any difficulties. Accidents could happen, so they didn't think too much about it. They just hoped that Yin Xiaoxiao would come out and chat with them soon. On the other side, Tang Guo arrived in a new world. She woke up in the office. Looking at the stack of documents in front of her, she suddenly had a headache. Her secretary was talking to her, asking if she was feeling unwell just now and if she should call the doctor over. I'm fine. I'm just a little tired. That's good. Boss Tang, these documents need to be used this afternoon. If possible, I hope you can approve them as soon as possible. Tang Guo got it. She had to work as soon as she arrived. This made Tang Guo a little uncomfortable. This time, she was a CEO. The decoration of the office was definitely low-key and luxurious. The company should be bigger. With a good status, it would be much more convenient for her to do things. However, she had to look through her memories before she could approve these documents. I'll rest for 10 minutes. Tang was said to the secretary beside her. The secretary was a very capable woman who was between 25 and 30 years old. He was wearing a well-tailored uniform and a pair of glasses. He looked very proper. When Tang Guo said that she wanted to rest, she automatically stood aside and looked at the watch in her hand. Okay, Boss Tang, I'll call you in 10 minutes. As Tang Guo leaned back in her comfortable chair, the secretary adjusted the angle of her chair for her. She was a confident and patient secretary. Tang Guo closed her eyes and sank into the memories of the original owner. She was the CEO of Tang Enterprise. She also had a younger brother, Tang. He wasn't in the company's headquarters. Instead, he was working on a project related to the entertainment industry. Their parents had passed away when they were very young. Tang Enterprise was mostly managed by her, but Tang, he didn't have any objections. With his sister managing the company, he had a lot of fun. The relationship between the two siblings was very good. Chapter 49-32. The only bad thing was that Tang, he was a bit of a playboy. To put it bluntly, he liked to hang out with young girls. What made the original owner feel at ease was that Tang, he didn't have a foot in two boats when he dated someone. After dating one, he would date the next. Moreover, he never laid his hands on the artists under his own company. He knew his limits. Since she was here, it meant that something bad must have happened. The story started with a woman named Yin Xiaoxiao. Who was Yin Xiaoxiao? She was the only daughter of a famous rich woman in the country, Yin Junling. It was said that Yin Junling had a love life that she did not want to remember. She had hidden the plot long ago, and no gossip reporters dared to write about her. She only knew that after this love life, she had a daughter and named her Yin Xiaoxiao. Yin Xiaoxiao grew up in her hands. As the daughter of a rich woman, she naturally got whatever she wanted. Unfortunately, not long ago, Yin Junling was diagnosed with a terminal illness. It was late stage and had already spread. Surgery would not be of much help. She could only choose conservative treatment to extend her life. At this time, Yin Junling was most worried about Yin Xiaoxiao. Because her relationship was not going well, she hoped that her daughter could have a happy life and marry someone who liked her. At the same time, she was afraid that after she left, her daughter would be cheated by some scumbag who would cheat her of her money and her body. She wanted her daughter to get married. Firstly, she could help check on her son-in-law's character. Secondly, she could witness her daughter's wedding. Thirdly, she could use her power to notarize her daughter's premarital assets and be the bad guy. However, Yin Junling did not expect Yin Xiaoxiao to know that her relationship was not going well since she was young. Coupled with some things that happened when she was young, she did not care about relationships. If it wasn't for the fact that Yin Junling was about to die, she wouldn't have done it obediently. In order to make Yin Junling feel at ease, Yin Xiaoxiao followed Yin Junling's instructions at first and approached men in the industry. Later on, She was not satisfied at all and did not want a married life. Later on, she thought of an idea that should be able to make her mother feel at ease. That was to borrow a man's seed. She would secretly find an outstanding man and borrow his seed without him knowing. Then, she would be able to have an outstanding child, and her mother wouldn't have to worry about her being lonely in the future. In the end, Yun Xiaoxiao chose Tang Yi from the Tang family, who was also the original owner's younger brother. Choosing this person was the least risky for Yun Xiaoxiao, because Tang Yi was a playboy. Although people on the internet said that Tang Yi was a straightforward person and would only have a successor after breaking up, she believed that Tang Yi had a woman in private. Moreover, even if a person of this status was a bit of a playboy, he would probably have his body checked regularly. He definitely cherished his life more than an ordinary person. The flirtatious Tang Yi probably wouldn't pursue the matter of spending some time with a strange woman. He would probably just think that it was a beautiful encounter. This was exactly what she wanted. Later on, she found an opportunity. Since she was the daughter of a wealthy woman, Yin Junling, wouldn't it be easy for her to play some tricks? Moreover, Tang Yi had stayed in her family's hotel that day, so it was even more convenient for her to do things. She could even erase any records. Chapter 49:33. Hence, when it was time, Yun Xiaoxiao went to Tang Yi's room and drugged him. She spent the night in the dark. After that, she sneaked away. There was no trace of her entering the room at the hotel. A month and a half later, she was really pregnant. She told Yun Junling about her pregnancy and said that she wanted to raise the child herself. Just like her mother, she didn't need to marry a man. She didn't expect Yun Junling to be so angry. She insisted that she tell the truth about that man. She said that he had bullied her daughter. How could she not take responsibility? Since she already had a child, if that man wasn't bad, she would marry him. Yun Junling thought that she had come from that step. It wasn't easy for a single parent to raise a child. Moreover, she had always hoped that her daughter could live a happy life. Yun Xiaoxiao didn't want Yun Junling to be angry, so she could only compromise. For some reason, Yun Junling, who was close to death, was more stubborn than ever. Yun Xiaoxiao didn't agree, but she was afraid that her mother would be angered to death. Under Yun Junling's insistence, Yun Xiaoxiao revealed Tang Yi's identity. Then, Yun Junling brought Yun Xiaoxiao to the family Tang to ask Tang Yi for an explanation. Yun Xiaoxiao saw how angry Yun Junling was and listened to everything she said. The family Tang still found it unbelievable that Tang Yi had gotten a girl pregnant outside. However, Yun Xiaoxiao insisted that it was with Tang Yi. Of course, she wouldn't say that she was the one who drugged Tang Yi. That would be disgraceful. She would say that she accidentally bumped into Tang Yi and had a beautiful encounter. Tang Yi wouldn't admit to this. He didn't know Yun Xiaoxiao at all and felt that this woman was here to scam him. However, because of Yun Xiaoxiao's identity and Yun Junling's impending death, no one thought that a beautiful daughter of a rich woman would make such a joke. Because of Tang Yi's denial, Yun Xiaoxiao was still a little angry. Although she knew that Tang Yi was in a daze at that time and most likely didn't know who she was, this was her first man. She was still very angry. Tang Yi couldn't explain himself. His family wanted him to take responsibility. Who asked him to not take care of himself? Under so much pressure, Tang Yi couldn't say anything. In the end, he decided to marry Yun Xiaoxiao out of revenge. He still didn't believe that Yun Xiaoxiao had anything to do with him. His plan was to wait for Yun Xiaoxiao to give birth to the child and then slap everyone in the face. Because no one in the family Tang group believed him, he was no longer close to the family Tang group. Not long after the child was born, Tang Yi secretly went to do a paternity test. Sure enough, the child wasn't his son. The test showed that although the child wasn't his son, he was related to him by blood. In other words, Yun Xiaoxiao might be related to another member of the family and blamed it on him. Tang Yi was furious. She thought of a way to secretly take a strand of the family's hair and do a paternity test. In the end, he found out that the child was actually his uncle's biological father. Tang Yi was furious. He didn't expect his uncle to be the scapegoat. He decided to make a big fuss and embarrass Yin Xiaoxiao and his uncle. Tang Jun had his own company. In his early years, he had entered another industry. His achievements were no less than that of the family Tang. When his company was at a critical juncture, Tang exposed this matter. The impact was huge. Tang Jun's image collapsed overnight. Yin Xiaoxiao also didn't expect that although she entered the right room that night, she slept with the wrong person. Because of some accident, Tang Jun stayed in Tang Yi's room. Chapter 49-34. Since the truth was out, Tang Yi divorced Yin Xiaoxiao and even wanted to sue her. Yin Xiaoxiao generously said that she could compensate him and threw a check to Tang Yi. Tang Yi was furious. He was the young master of the Tang Group and had an entertainment company under his control. Was he short of money? He hated the fact that Yin Xiaoxiao's existence had ruined his reputation and affected him for several years. Yin Xiaoxiao made him unable to hold his head up high in the entertainment industry. But in the end, Yin Xiaoxiao threw a check to him. Was this the end of the matter? And Tang Jun, his biological uncle, had set him up like this. The original owner, who was Tang Yi's biological sister, was very regretful when she found out the truth. They were siblings after all. She sincerely apologized to Tang Yi and they reconciled. Because Tang Jun and Yin Xiaoxiao had set them up, the siblings decided to deal with them. They decided to deal with Yin Xiaoxiao first, because Yin Xiaoxiao was the one who came to make Tang Yi take the blame. She even said it so confidently, causing Tang Group's reputation to fall. Yin Xiaoxiao even explained that it was a misunderstanding, but she couldn't tell him the truth. If she did, she would lose a lot of face. With such a vague explanation, the siblings thought that she was making up an excuse. Tang Jun must have arranged for her to deal with them. It was either the Yin family's ambition or Tang Jun's. Under the combined efforts of the siblings, Yin Xiaoxiao was indeed in a miserable state. Yin Group was even sued for bankruptcy by the siblings. How could Yin Xiaoxiao have the ability to manage Yin Group well? Seeing that the siblings were going to go all out, Tang Jun finally stepped in and told them to stop. Tang Jun was also very confused. How could he have such a relationship with Yin Xiaoxiao? But the paternity test was the truth, and he couldn't escape it. Actually, he didn't want Yin Xiaoxiao, but he couldn't deny that the son she gave birth to was his. He couldn't watch Yin Xiaoxiao and her son become prisoners. So, he came to discuss this matter with the original owner and her brother. He even brought Yin Xiaoxiao and her son, hoping that they would give him face. But the siblings were still planning to mess with Tang Jun. How could they agree? In the end, for some unknown reason, the siblings fell into a coma and Tang Core was thrown into chaos. When they woke up a week later, they heard that Tang Jun was going to marry Yin Xiaoxiao. Tang Jun got married not because he liked Yin Xiaoxiao, but because he wanted to take responsibility. After all, Yin Xiaoxiao's child was his child. Only by marrying him, only then would he be able to legitimately protect her. No one dared to bully them. Tang Jun, who didn't know the truth, actually felt that the mother and son were rather pitiful. What did the original siblings want to do? What did they do, and what did they fail to do? It was as if he had offended the god of misfortune, and everything he did was unlucky. The plan was perfect, but it still failed in the end. They fought with Tang Jun and Yin Xiaoxiao for several years. Later, when Yin Xiaoxiao's child was 5 or 6 years old, Yin Xiaoxiao discovered that he was a genius. At such a young age, this child already knew all sorts of things. It was only natural that Yin Xiaoxiao would focus on nurturing him. What's more, the child had started working on his own with Yin Xiaoxiao's help. This was done behind Tang Jun's back. Because of Tang Jun's relationship with the original owner, he was always on guard and never took the initiative to attack. He couldn't get over the matter of Tang Yi. Also, his elder brother and sister-in-law had treated him well back then, so he couldn't hurt them. Yin Xiaoxiao couldn't tolerate this. At first, she still had some hope for Tang Jun. Later, she realized that this person didn't have much feelings for her and wasn't very close to her son either. On the other hand, Tang Jun was more concerned about the two lunatics. After knowing that her son was a genius and wanted to work on his own, Yun Xiaoxiao had a chance. Since Tang Jun couldn't protect her and she had to tolerate everything, she wanted the people of Tang Group to lose everything. Later, her son helped her achieve it and became a business giant in the country. And Tang Group had become a thing of the past. Under this child's manipulation, they even owed a huge debt. Not only did they not play for the rest of their lives, but they were also unlucky. So that's how it is peak. Chapter 49:35. There must be something strange about this Yin Xiaoxiao. She caused the original owner and her brother to fall into a coma and the entire Tang Group to be in trouble. After reading through the memories, Tang would notice something strange about Yin Xiaoxiao. No one would be unlucky all their life. There must be something wrong. Could it be that Yin Xiaoxiao had some fortuitous encounter? From what she knew of the memories, Yin Xiaoxiao had never used any supernatural means, and there were no signs of rebirth. For the time being, she couldn't tell what was wrong with Yin Xiaoxiao. But since she was here, she definitely wouldn't let the family Tang Group get involved as Yin Xiaoxiao wished. The system made Tang stop thinking about Yin Xiaoxiao for the time being. As soon as she came back to her senses, she heard the secretary's voice. In 2 hours, Tang finished dealing with the pile of documents in her hands. She thought that she would have some free time, but the secretary reminded her that she had a meeting soon. After the meeting, it would be lunchtime. After lunch, she had to return to the company immediately to make arrangements for work in the afternoon. There was a meeting at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. After the meeting, there was a dinner. After the dinner, there was entertainment. After the entertainment, it was time for her to work out. She could only go home after she worked out. After returning home, according to the original owner's habits, she had to do some reading. After a nap, she had to go to work again. It was still a full day. She even flipped through the schedule that the secretary had prepared for her. Sure enough, it was for the next week. There was basically no free time. Tang Gua, why is it that we're all from the family Tang Group? Tang Yi is in charge of an entertainment company, yet he can still date. He never has any free time. System. No wonder Tang Yi still has time to date. It's because he has less work. Tang smiled and said, why don't we transfer him back and let him do more work? Then he won't have time to flirt. Look at him. He only knows how to date. He doesn't even think about getting married. I think Tang Yi is already an adult. He's still immature. Although he's always willing to be with someone, his behavior still gives people the impression that he's a vagrant. Look, he was targeted by Yin Xiaoxiao. In the end, no one believed him. If he's busy, there won't be so much trouble. Besides, I'm not the only one who owns the Tang Group. His surname is also Tang. Isn't it better for him to come back and help? System. In any case, he felt that the host must be envious that Tang Yi had time to date while her own schedule. After eating lunch, Tang still had half an hour of lunch break. She leaned against the lounge in the office and closed her eyes to rest. In fact, she was sinking her consciousness into the group. When she first joined the group, she wanted to share the situation of this world with everyone. She did not expect to bump into them discussing the newcomers. Previously, she knew that there would be a new member in the group, but she never saw the name appear. Chapter 49:36. Tang Gua subconsciously looked at the position of the group member list and found that there was a new name at the bottom. She froze when she saw the new name. Yin Xiaoxiao? It couldn't be a coincidence, could it? The system was surprised as well. This new person's name was Yin Xiaoxiao. Could this be the Yin Xiaoxiao that the host mentioned was a little strange? Yin Xiaoxiao is a new person? Did she appear before? Oh, the campus bell is here. Yin Xiaoxiao is a new person. She appeared before, but she seemed to have something to do. She left after a few words. Campus bell, you didn't come to me because you're not in the magic world, right? No, I think the new person joined the group because she was added to the wrong group. Fortunately, we persuaded her not to leave the group. Yes, she seems to be very busy and not interested. She probably thinks this is a normal group. Oh, she also said that our names are very Chinibyu. We sound like primary school students. Girl, what's the new world? I don't know if it's a coincidence or not, but this incident has something to do with someone called Yin Xiaoxiao. Based on what we know now, I think it's very likely to be Yin Xiao Xiao. Uncle Master, are you saying that Yin Xiao Xiao is not a kind person? Then I'm going to be sad. Campus Bell, you should tell us what happened first. Okay. Tang Wu briefly shared her memory with the group members. After reading it, everyone fell silent and felt a little awkward. That meant that if the Yun Xiao Xiao in the group and the Yun Xiao Xiao outside were the same person, then they had helped her. Girl, if it's really Yun Xiao Xiao, then didn't we do something wrong? Well, isn't it the effect of my cursed talisman that makes people unlucky all the time? I almost did something bad. I think I might do something stupid too. It might not be you guys who did something stupid. Mortals are cunning. Look, Yin Xiao Xiao never talks about her mistakes. She's too embarrassed to talk about it herself. She knows it's not good to talk about it. Why would she tell us? Think about it. If she changed her perspective and portrayed herself as the pitiful one, then Tang, you would be an irresponsible person. Master's right. After that, Yin Xiao Xiao and her son were bullied very badly. If she didn't tell us what happened and only told us what happened to her, would you have just stood by and watched as the mother and her son were bullied? Of course not. Well, it's not impossible for us to give them some gifts so they can keep their belongings. I'm really going to die. Looks like I can't just randomly act out of kindness. There's nothing wrong with doing good. You guys, Yin Xiao Xiao's here. Of course. Yin Xiao Xiao will stay in the group for the time being. Now that you guys are on guard, I don't think you'll give her anything. Let's see what method she will use to cheat you of the things in your hands. Campus Bell. You guys can continue chatting as usual. When I log out of the group later, I'll clear all the chat history. Chapter 49-37. School Bell. Keeping Yin Xiao Xiao will give you a lot of experience. Otherwise, you'll think that anyone who joins the group is a good person. Tang Wu's words made everyone feel a little awkward. They didn't have their guard up against anyone who joined the group. After all, they were separated by a group. Plus, there was the filter that the group gave them. Naturally, they were a little careless. Once the lunch break was over, Tang Wu started to get busy again. After a busy day, Tang Wu returned home and said that she must find some helpers and get Tang back. She was still thinking about what to do about Yin Xiao Xiao. If she got Tang back, not only would Yin Xiao Xiao not have Tang, but someone else in the group would also suffer. What would happen then would probably be similar to what happened in the Family Tang incident. How could she stop Yin Xiao Xiao from harming others? Tongzi, what is Yin Xiao Xiao doing? System. Host, please wait a moment. Let me check. In the world of the internet, the system ruled. In less than a minute, he figured out what Yin Xiao Xiao was doing. Madam Host, Yin Xiao Xiao is currently chatting with her sisters. How many people are in her girlfriend's group? Are they all online? Including her, there are 4 of them. 2 of them are best friends, Song Lu and Jiang Ting. The last one is her best friend, Hui Yongfei. They are all online. Yin Xiao Xiao is telling them about the group she joined today. She said that she didn't like the way those people talked. If it wasn't for her mother, she wouldn't have joined that group. But she was afraid that her mother would be angry, so she had to listen. That means that she doesn't have the intention to borrow someone's seed yet. Let me know when she does. Keep a close eye on her. Yes, host. Over the next few days, Tang Wu followed the original owner's lifestyle and made some adjustments to her own habits. First, she asked the system to investigate the background and abilities of the people in the company. She planned to promote a few more core members. She also asked the system to check if there were any talents who had been neglected. If there were, the system would send the information to her as soon as possible. After a busy week, the system reminded Tang Wu that Yin Xiao Xiao had brought up the matter of borrowing seeds in the group. At that time, Tang Wu happened to be not busy. These days, she had promoted 2 backbones. Sure enough, they could help her deal with a lot of things. She was not as busy as before. Connect me to the group. I want to see what they're talking about. Tang Wu closed her eyes and used her consciousness to see what was going on in the group. Yin Xiao Xiao was chatting enthusiastically with her best friends. After a few more glances, Tang Wu realized that Yin Xiao Xiao's idea didn't seem to be supported by her best friends. Song Lu, Xiao Xiao, your idea is too childish. You want to borrow his seed and he didn't agree to it. Isn't that the same as rape? Think about it. If a man took a fancy to your genes and wanted to knock you out, he would have to go to jail. Xiao Xiao, your way of thinking has touched the bottom line. Yin Xiao Xiao, are men and women the same? And don't worry, the person I found doesn't care about this at all. Also, I can't tell him the truth. He won't know for the rest of his life. It won't affect him at all. Song Lu, Xiao Xiao, I don't think this will work. You can't be so willful. You're still thinking like a child. You haven't thought about the future. What if your child wants a father in the future? Peak. Chapter 49:38. Yin Xiao Xiao. I told you the father is dead. Song Lu, Jiang Ting, Hui Yongfei, don't just watch. Help persuade Xiao Xiao. She's so stubborn. She'll get into trouble in the future. Using someone else's sperm to have a child? Jiang Ting. Actually, I think Xiao Xiao can do that too. We're all good girls. Of course, we'll support her. Xiao Xiao is so pretty. That man won't lose anything. He'll just be a tool. Hui Yongfei. No matter what Xiao Xiao decides, I'll support her. Xiao Xiao isn't a normal person. She knows what she's doing. We all know that Xiao Xiao doesn't like to get married. Raising a child is a good idea. Jiang Ting, Xiao Xiao is right. There are differences between men and women. Song Lu, not many men in this world care about losing their virginity. Many people can't resist a night of romance. Xiao Xiao also said that she'll choose a suitable man. She won't choose a decent man. Song Lu, aren't you afraid of being sick? At least for your own health, you can't do anything reckless. Yin Xiao Xiao, don't worry. I'll take care of my safety. After I choose a man, I'll find a way to get his medical report. Of course, I won't allow anyone who's sick. Song Lu, if you really want a child, I suggest you go abroad. You can choose from the sperm bank overseas. You can come back when you're pregnant. Can't you do that? Yin Xiao Xiao, I don't like foreigners. I don't want my child to be mixed race. Plus, even if he's Chinese, he might not meet my requirements. Plus, it was exposed that someone donated that thing. They faked their education and identity just to get a higher price. I don't want to take the risk. I'd rather do my own research. Plus, I haven't even had a man. It's a loss to have a child first. Find a good man and have a night of romance. It's not a loss. Song Lu, I can't understand your thinking. Yin Xiao Xiao, Song Lu, this is my choice. Even if you're my sister, you can't do anything about it. Don't worry, I know what I'm doing. Song Lu, you're already doing this. What do you mean what you're doing? Song Lu, have you chosen a man yet? Yin Xiao Xiao, Song Lu, your motive is too obvious. Do you want to know in advance so that you can tell him? I'm telling you this because I'm your sister. I didn't expect you to not only not speak up for me, but also block my way. Song Lu, I don't think it's right for you to do this. Yin Xiao Xiao, that's enough. Since you left the country, we haven't talked much. You've probably gone out and seen a lot, so you become unfamiliar with us. Don't bother about this matter. I won't discuss this with you in the future. It's best if you don't meddle in my affairs. Even if we can't be sisters, we shouldn't be enemies. Song Lu still wanted to say something, but she realized that she had been removed from the group chat. She called Yin Xiao Xiao again, but the other party hung up on her. In the end, she was so angry that she ignored him. The next morning, Song Lu used her social media account to chat with Yin Xiao Xiao. She didn't get a response. When she sent another message, there was a red exclamation mark. Looking at the red exclamation mark in front of her, she felt that it was ridiculous. Song Lu is really persistent. She sent me so many messages early in the morning. It's so annoying. Yin Xiao Xiao rubbed her head and said to Jiang Ting, sometimes Song Lu is just like my mom. She doesn't understand my thoughts at all. Chapter 49:39. Doesn't she know that I don't want to get married? It's all because there are too many scumbags in this world. Even someone like my mother can't get married happily. Now that my mother is seriously ill, I just want to fulfill her wish and let her know that I have a child so that she won't be lonely in the future. Song Lu won't understand. She only knows how to preach to me. Does she really think that she can become a scientist in the future just because she's highly educated? Jiang Ting said, with Song Lu's personality and your relationship, she might not let this go. She might come back to persuade you because of this. If things get out of hand, you won't be able to do anything. That's true. It's not like you don't know Song Lu's personality. She has always been relentless since she was young. Now that she's serious and can't contact you, she'll most likely come back to you. You'll be in trouble then, Hui Yongfei said. Yun Xiaoxiao was a little flustered. If her mother found out about this, she would be in trouble. Then she would really have to marry someone she didn't like and have a child. Just thinking about it was suffocating. If it was someone with a similar family background, it would probably be another round of scheming. If it was a son-in-law, she was really afraid that she would be robbed and killed. She didn't want to share her money with the other party. Therefore, to have a child with someone else was the perfect choice for her. Stop drinking, you two. Hurry up and tell me what to do to settle Song Lu's matter. Don't let her come back. Delay it for a while. At least, wait until I succeed. Jiang Ting was silent for a while, then said, "Why don't you restore her contact later and tell her to get ready for a blind date? A few days later, you can video call her with the blind date so that Song Lu doesn't have to worry. She's in a critical period of her studies now. Otherwise, she won't be able to graduate. After she graduates, she'll probably start working in the research institute immediately. She won't have time to ask about outside matters. If she asks, we'll cover for you so that she won't be exposed. The three of us will use another number and create a small group. Jiang Ting's idea is good. Song Lu is so close to us, but she doesn't have time to chat. It's even more impossible for others to talk to her about this. Moreover, she went abroad so early. We don't have a circle of friends. Okay, let's do that. You two really saved my life." Yun Xiaoxiao was relieved. That afternoon, she apologized to Song Lu. Because Yun Xiaoxiao was too sincere, Song Lu believed her. If Yun Xiaoxiao didn't apologize, she was going to ask for leave from the tutor and come back to persuade her. Now that Yun Xiaoxiao had thought things through, she would definitely find someone to marry and stop using him as her seed. However, Song Lu said, "If you really don't meet someone you like, then forget it. You can't ruin your marriage just because Annie wants you to. I believe that if Annie loves you, she definitely wouldn't want you to be unhappy. Don't worry, I have my own plans. If I want to find someone, I'll definitely find someone that I like and likes me back. You know, I've never wronged myself since I was young." Song Lu still believed in this. After a while, when Song Lu occasionally checked the group chat, she overheard Jiang Ting and Hui Yongfei discussing that Yun Xiaoxiao had recently met a man and seemed to be satisfied with him. She had been dating for the past few days and rarely came to the group chat. When Song Lu saw this, she did not doubt him at all. When she video called Yun Xiaoxiao, she completely believed it and focused on her studies. She even said that she must inform her when Yun Xiaoxiao got married. Even if she couldn't make it, she must send her blessings. However, Yun Xiaoxiao said that it wouldn't be so soon. This made Song Lu feel even more relieved. After sending Song Lu away, Yun Xiaoxiao began her plan. "I'll vote for Tang Yi. What about you guys? Jiang Ting, is he healthy?" Yun Xiaoxiao, "No problem. How about his medical report? He's as strong as a bull. This guy's had more than 20 girlfriends, and his body is still so healthy. Tang Yi's genes are excellent, and he's not a good man. I think we can make a move. Since he's healthy, I think Tang Yi is a good choice. He won't be easily discovered. Anyway, this guy's a playboy," Jiang Ting said. Hui Yongfei was a little hesitant. "Xiao, have you really made up your mind? Once you take this step, there's no turning back." Chapter 4940. Dear host, Yun Xiaoxiao has decided to make a move on Tang Yi at the original time. There are still 5 days before the incident. Have you chosen the person I asked you to choose? Yes, I have. Let me send you the information. The system understood what Tang Guo was going to do. Zhang Yan. She's an unemployed wanderer in various circles. She's very popular in the circle of rich women because of her pretty face and eloquent mouth. I don't think this man is a good choice. If he's someone who can make a rich woman fall in love with him, if he really manages to hook up with Yun Xiaoxiao and have a child with her, it won't be a problem for him to use Yun Xiaoxiao to start his own business. The scariest thing is, if Yun Xiaoxiao accepts him, Wouldn't she have found herself a helper? System, I didn't think this through. Dear host, you said that you want to choose someone who has his own circle, knows how to spend money, doesn't look bad, and isn't the kind of person who keeps his chastity. He will definitely agree to this. After careful analysis, dear host, Zhang Yiyin is indeed not suitable. Look into Zhang Yiyin and see if he is suitable to be my coolie. Men all have their own ambitions. Rich women aren't fools. If he has plans to make a name for himself, look into what he is capable of. Understood. Zhuaheng, a destitute rich man. He used to be a playboy and a spendthrift. After the company went bankrupt, his parents committed suicide, and he is currently burdened with more than $6 billion in debt. He was sentenced to a year in prison for intentional assault and has just been released. Have you looked into why he did that? His company was destroyed by his parents' friends. After his parents committed suicide, he couldn't help but beat them up. Does he plan to beat them up now? Not really. I heard that he has been in contact with some rich women recently. He is probably preparing for revenge. That won't do. He knows how to be flexible, but he is too harsh on himself. I might as well poach him in my company. I will give him money to open a branch company. He has a lot of money and resources. After what happened, he should have grown. When he gets his revenge in the future, he will definitely be willing to work for me. System, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Speaking of which, great host, you can't do this. He doesn't look like a good person, yet you want to poach him yourself. You can't bear to let him go to Yin Xiao Xiao. That's because they have too much potential. I'm looking for someone who looks decent on the surface, but is actually rotten at the core. I won't send a helper to Yin Xiao Xiao. Moreover, for normal men, blood relations cannot be erased. If I make this deal with one of them and give them a sum of money to set this trap, what do you think they will do when they find out that Yin Xiao Xiao gave birth to a son for them? I understand now. Normal people wouldn't have the heart to do that. They would definitely help them. The system was enlightened. Dear host, look at the third person. This person should be more in line with your thoughts. Tangwa followed the system's instructions and opened the third person's information. After reading the information, she really felt that this person was the most suitable. The third man's name was Kong Feng. Kong Feng had some family background, but his background wasn't very impressive. He was the son of a mistress. Vertex. Chapter 49-41. The main wife of the Kong family was too powerful. Even though the mistress was pregnant with Kong Feng, she still couldn't move into the Kong family. Not only that, but there were also many small accidents. All of these were the main wife's doing. Kong Feng's father was considered powerful and influential, but he relied on the main wife to start his business. If he left the main wife, his business would definitely suffer a serious blow. After the negotiation, they decided to send Kong Feng abroad. Kong Feng was born abroad and had only seen his father a few times since he was young. Kong Feng's father's whereabouts had always been under the control of the main wife. Over the years, he gradually became annoyed with this behavior. So, he still secretly met Kong Feng and gave him a lot of money. But he didn't expect Kong Feng to learn how to gamble at a young age. All the money he gave him was used to gamble. Even his mother's jewelry had been sold by him. Kong Feng's behavior disappointed Kong Feng's father. He didn't care so much about him, but he still gave him the money. A few years ago, Kong Feng's mother passed away, so he had to come back. At this time, the main wife's son had grown up and could take charge of the company. He wasn't afraid that a crippled Kong Feng would cause any trouble. He agreed to let Kong Feng come back. Kong Feng had an idle position in the company with no real power. He still didn't quit gambling. He would often play with a group of people when he had nothing to do. Most of the time, he lost. This made Kong Feng's father more and more disappointed. He didn't have a good expression when he saw him. In the Kong family's eyes, Kong Feng was a disgrace. Because of this, Kong Feng felt extremely unbalanced and even did some absurd things. After all, he was Kong Feng's son. He sent Kong Feng far away and gave him money every month. He also told Kong Feng to behave, or else he wouldn't have any money. To Kong Feng, this was a humiliation, but he couldn't leave his father's financial support, so he obediently stayed and didn't go back. This caused Kong Feng to be very short of money. No matter how much money a gambler had, he wouldn't think it was too much. Moreover, Kong Feng's face was not bad. In this circle, if he knew a good-looking, rich, and pretty woman, he would set his eyes on her and develop her into his loyal girlfriend. At first, he would treat her well. Later, the woman would give him money to spend. When the time came and they broke up, no one would say anything bad about Kong Feng. Although Tang Guan knew so much, it was all thanks to the system's ability. On the surface, Kong Feng hid it very well. Anyone who saw him would say that he was a very good actor with a dignified appearance. Let's go with him. Tongzi, contact Kong Feng. Tell him it's a private job for $1 million. He'll be tempted. System, it's okay. If he can't get it, it will belong to the casino owner. By the way, that afternoon, use Jiang Ting and Hui Yongfei's phone numbers to send a message to Yun Xiao Xiao. The content of the message is Xiao Xiao. Why don't we just let it go? If she gives up, we'll discuss it further. If she insists on not giving up, we'll continue as before. Could these words be considered the final turning point? Actually, the great host knew that even if she sent this message, Yun Xiao Xiao wouldn't turn back. That was because she simply did not believe that such a method would cause harm to others. She only wanted to satisfy her own selfish desires. There's still some time before that incident. Tang Guo continues to be busy with the company. Through the information given to her by the system, she observes the capable employees in her company. Chapter 49-42. Originally, she had 1 secretary and 3 assistants by her side. Now, she had 1 secretary and 5 assistants. In other words, she had 2 more people. The secretary was responsible for arranging her work and schedule. As for the other 5 assistants, because they were quite capable, they were assigned to work in the office. After the assistants sorted through the documents, she would confirm the most important ones. This greatly reduced her workload. As for the occasions that she didn't need to attend personally, she would arrange for people from the company to attend. As expected, she felt a lot more relaxed. On the 3rd day, Zhang Yin and Zhuoheng were invited to the office. When the 2 received the phone call, they thought they were dreaming. First, they heard a serious female voice introducing where they were. Then, she said that the CEO of Tangkor had taken a fancy to their capabilities. If they were interested, they could come take a look and discuss in the office. In the end, they verified the information and confirmed that it was indeed a phone call from the CEO of Tangkor. So, on the day of the meeting, they arrived. Zhang Yin admitted that he wasn't a good person. The reason why he tried so hard to get in touch with rich women was because he wanted to raise his status. He hoped that one day, he could use this opportunity to make a comeback and truly integrate into the industry. Compared to the rich women, he was simply taking what he needed. But reality wasn't as simple as he thought. Status wasn't something that could be easily changed. The rich women had their own concerns and couldn't really push him up. As for Zhuoheng, his motive was even simpler. If Tangkor was willing to take him in and support him, why would he need to beg for help? It would be even faster to make a comeback. He couldn't wait to get his revenge. I know that the 2 of you don't like to be under others, and you both have your own goals. So, I have decided to invest in the 2 of you. In other words, in the future, I will only have shares in your company and will not care about your company. You will be your own boss, Tang was said straightforwardly. The industry that she wanted the 2 of them to enter had no conflict with Tangkor. Zhang Yin, Boss Tang isn't joking. If Boss Tang was serious, even if I didn't want to be Boss Tang's boss, I would still be willing to work for Boss Tang. I've been holding back my anger and haven't been able to get it out. As long as I can get my revenge, I will work for Boss Tang for the rest of my life. Zhuoheng's decision was much bigger than Zhang Yin's because he had already reached the end of his road. In fact, in the original plot, these 2 people were also mentioned. Zhang Yin had indeed been praised for his success, but in less than 2 years, he was defeated by a child and died of depression. It was the same for Zhuoheng. He had just started and was planning to move on to the next project to let the company turn over. He did not expect that a child would take a fancy to this project and snatch it away without hesitation. He did not have the last chance to follow in his parents' footsteps. This was the reason why Tangua immediately rejected the idea when she saw their experiences. Tongzi, You're not paying attention to the plot again. System. Sob, 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 don't we have host? I really didn't pay much attention to these small cannon fodder characters. How would I know that there was such a character? Their names weren't even mentioned in the plot. There was only a brief introduction, so I didn't know it was them. Didn't the host guess it after looking at their information? All right, it's not your fault. It's all thanks to you that we were able to find them. When Zhang Yin and Zhuaheng walked out of the Tang Corporation building, they looked at the dazzling sun outside and felt like they were dreaming. Vertex. Chapter 49-43. Hello, I'm Zhang Yin. Zhang Yin felt that this wasn't a dream. He extended his hand and introduced himself to Zhuaheng. His smile was like a spring breeze. It was this kind of smile that could move the hearts of rich women. Zhuaheng extended his hand. Zhuaheng, you should have heard of him. He's the one with 6 billion in debt. You're worse off than me. If I had 6 billion in debt, I wouldn't be able to survive. You're very brave. Zhang, Ian was really praising him. He wasn't being polite. He wouldn't starve to death if he did other things, but he wouldn't be able to realize his dream. But when he thought of the past, he decided that even if he had to risk his life, he would still be able to do it. Zhuaheng said, because I still have a lot of things to do. I don't dare to not live. Let's keep in touch. We might have a chance to work together. That's what I think too, Zhuaheng said. The two of them let go of each other's hands and left in different directions. Zhang Ian drove away while Zhuaheng took a taxi. Zhang Ian looked at Zhuaheng, who got into the taxi, and sighed. He didn't expect the arrogant young master to know how to take a taxi. In the past, Zhuaheng used to drive a different sports car every day. This was an opportunity. He couldn't miss it. Look for more people who want to work in the company. People like Zhang Yin and Zhuaheng aren't suitable to be employees. They know when to yield and when to stand tall. They have ambition and courage. Only when they're bosses can they do big things. They won't be of much use if they stay in the company. Don't forget that I gave them the money to start their company. No matter how big their company is, they're still making money for me. Weird words. The system snorted. There's no special energy in this world. If he's not human, he'll be in trouble. Time passed in the blink of an eye, and it was the day when everything happened. Actually, the original owner of the body had attended the party as well. However, Yin Xiaoxiao left right after she was done. Tang Jun woke up in the morning and noticed that something was wrong. He couldn't find any records and thought that he was drunk and couldn't control himself. No one would publicize this kind of thing. Tang Guo arrived at the cocktail party at the right time. Tang Yi knew that she was coming, so he was already waiting at the door. Sis, you're a little early today. Tang Yi greeted Tang Guo with a smile and quickly helped her out of the car. Tang Guo glanced around. Where's your date? How can I bring a female companion to such an occasion? I have to stay by your side to protect you, lest those old perverts take advantage of you. Yes, in the original plot, Tang, you didn't bring a female companion that night. Whenever Tang Guo was at a cocktail party, he would not bring a female companion. This was because he had to stay by Tang Guo's side and help her drink from time to time. If there was a man whom Tang Guo was satisfied with, and whom he also thought was not bad, then he would stay a little further away. Tang, he was actually a good younger brother. The relationship between the two siblings had always been very good. It was just that he changed girlfriends very quickly. This was also the thing that the original owner was most dissatisfied with. She said it many times, but the other party didn't listen. You're tuning in to the Dreamy Chapters YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.